Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to the Mind Hive podcast. This is Z. Thanks for joining us. Go to our YouTube page and check out the Mind Hive podcast on there. We have a new video. It's titled Healthcare is a Privilege. And we go over the morality behind the question of giving affordable healthcare to everyone in the United States. And we talk about how trying to label healthcare and getting lost in the semantics is possibly might lead to us missing the bigger picture. And then in today's episode, this is kind of like a throwback episode. We get into all the things that made us start this podcast in the first place. We talk about augmented reality technology. We talk about the universe and how it's perhaps trying to create intelligence that can give itself absolute control. We talk about how do we prove something is conscious or self-aware, which ties a little bit into the Turing test. We talk about the feeling of control that we all feel in our daily lives and how it might be an illusion. And then we kind of finish it off with the whole topic of self-awareness. And we just kind of go back and forth and just try to wonder and just have thought experiments on why are we even self-aware in the first place, which ties into the why question. Why do we always ask why? Is that even an appropriate question? So I'll cut it off right here. Let's join the podcast.
So basically, that intelligence will be power. If you're looking at it across two different species. Because, like, with your example, you're saying a nerd versus, like, a giant bodybuilder. If the nerd has time and he's way smarter than this wrestler dude, bodybuilder, whatever, I'm sure you can outsmart him and take him out, you know?
Yeah, but if he doesn't have time, if it's right there and then he would
Right
die.
then and there, yeah I'm going to get mauled by a lion. But, like, if you look at the whole situation, we have them locked up in zoos. So that's really us winning, you know?
So it's intelligence plus time beats power.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what I was
well,
trying
yeah,
to
you
get
need,
at.
yeah. Of course, though.
And also tools. I also said before tools.
Why would I
Let's say if you do have
tools. Yeah, the intelligence need tools.
Yeah, let's say if you're just in a box room and you have a big guy versus you, and there's no tools to use, so you might have 10 minutes to figure out how you're gonna beat him. But if there's not other tools that you can use for your assistance, because you need to take down a mammoth or take down a lion, you need tools to take them. You use your brain, create tools, and take them down.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be a combination of those defeats and.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying, you know, you're about to get into a battle with a lion, you know. I'll always try to plan it out, etc. And time would be on both sides. I'm saying if a lion's looking at me and I'm looking at a lion and we're both coming up with, okay, how are we going to take each other out, then my idea will be better, is what I'm saying. If I have time, like I know I'm going to face this lion, I'm going to set up traps, yada, yada, yada. You know?
No.
What if
I
you
don't
have...
think that scenario would work, because there's so many scenarios where that wouldn't work.
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
if
but
you look at it,
I see what you're saying though.
you know, we have lions in cages, though. You know what I mean? So
We do have the 3 cases.
What if you had?
Good
What if
point.
you had? Like, what if you had? Imagine like an alternate universe where animals are weird and you're all weird too. Not exactly how we are here. What if you had the intelligence? You had more intelligence than some really strong creature, but you don't have hands,
Yeah, how do you?
or you don't have the tools
Then
to use your intelligence.
if I'm intelligent, I'll come up with another way to create whatever tool I need. Otherwise, I wouldn't face
But
that.
you're limited by resources that are around you. So if you don't have the right tools, I don't think that scenario would apply.
Well,
But
the smartest thing would be to run away then.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying intelligence will
No,
will
the
bring
lion
up.
would overpower you, like within. If it was in the same analogy.
No,
No,
go on, sorry.
I'm saying I'll never beat a lion one-on-one. I'm not saying that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm saying, okay, I'm just saying, for instance, I'm looking at, I know I'm going to be facing a lion knows it's going to be facing me. Whatever his idea is to take me out, you know, go for my neck, etc. My idea is going to be better, hence why we have them in cages right now, you know? Because we both came up with solutions to take each other out, and I feel we won, man. I'm not worried about lions, they're worried about me, though.
Yeah, but I mean, if it was a one-on-one, then I think I would be worried.
Okay, so part of intelligence.
Unless you had a gun.
part of intelligence is like knowing what your strength is and what your opponent's strength is and what your strength is.
Right.
So part of being intelligent, you would never engage in a battle of power with a lion.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say too.
So like some of those, there's some tribes in I think South America that still do the hunting and gathering thing, and what they do is they try to, if they're going after deer or any animal, what they will do is use their cardio. They will just keep running until the animal tires out. Because humans can apparently, because of sweating and all that, we can maintain ourselves and hold that cardio for much longer than other animals, which might be able to sprint and do explosiveness.
And I saw this video on YouTube of a cheetah chasing like a deer or some kind of prey, and I didn't know this, but the cheetah only has a finite amount of time to get the prey because their bodies overheat or something, and they don't sweat.
They don't sweat,
so they can't keep running. I forgot the logic behind it, but because of that, if they don't get that prey in time, the prey gets to run away.
Yeah. So remember, Arian Foster was saying that he could beat a wolf one-on-one in a fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's like, if I had to take him out, I can take him out.
A wolf scares the fuck out of me.
Wolves are. I feel like wolves can take us out, but again, if I
feel like a coyote would take us out.
Yeah.
No.
The wolves hunt in packs, so that makes it even.
Yeah, they're
scarier.
easy to take out in Zelda too.
Yeah, but you need. Yeah.
The bears are like super hard.
Yeah.
If you try fighting them, that's like the hardest meat to get, I think.
Probably. That's the biggest thing I've seen.
Yeah.
Bear meat. It's huge.
Damn. Intelligent. But no, what I was trying to say was, I totally agree with what you're saying, but that intelligence will always be limited by its tools around it. The tools are not there. There's not enough time to figure out. So like, it's not always that intelligent design would always win. I don't think that's true. It goes in go any direction, but based on the resources of tools that are surrounded.
I have a dope example. So let's say this creature versus, let's say, a bear or whatever. Something that's completely armless, yada, 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 and can still kill a bear. Bacteria or like viruses.
But is bacteria, would you say bacteria is more intelligent?
Yeah.
How's
It's winning. It wins.
No, but bacteria needs things to be alive so it can also
So it's
be
intelligent
alive.
that it uses the bear as a host.
And the bear doesn't even know it's being attacked.
Yeah, gets wrecked.
But would you call bacteria more intelligent than a bear then?
But then that's saying like they're more intelligent than us because we die to them too.
Exactly.
No,
So-
but I mean,
It's not really a level of intelligence then, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but it is some kind of power that they have.
But what species outlasts the other? In a battle.
But you just proved the other point right
yeah,
here.
I know. I realized that. I
So
messed up.
bacteria is not
take it
more
back.
intelligent, yet somehow
it would outlast us.
Yeah.
So wait, so what did we just prove? But I feel like we're on something.
We just proved that intelligence isn't key to survival.
yeah.
Isn't the only thing there could
It
be.
can go it can go the other way too, just as easily.
Yeah.
Just being super strong. Yeah, exactly.
But
That's
then that intelligence, that human intelligence, if it knows that there's bacteria, it's gonna win.
Yeah.
It's gonna find a way to win.
yeah.
Bacteria
Antibiotics.
just has like the power of the human or
Oh yeah, there we
not
go.
knowing.
So
Okay,
there is a
I'm
level
back.
of
So it's not,
intelligence.
yeah.
We back.
But then is there also a level of strength that is it just a back and forth thing? It's not like intelligence is just sitting there.
I feel like this
unmatched.
conversation is different because of the constraints that you put on it.
Yeah. So
Right?
it changes.
Yeah, if there's time involved and if the
It's
intelligence
resources.
knows,
If the resources are not there, it won't defeat it.
but it needs to know it's in a battle to go for resources. That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, it would just be. Intelligence would be trying to survive on its own anyway, right? So it knows it needs to figure things out.
Send out more antibodies, whatever it needs.
But all I'm saying is always going to be limited to his resources. So like back then they didn't have the technology to solve some of the bacteria issues that we have. Maybe there is a parallel universe where the bacteria that the plague that's happened do take out every living thing in the world.
Kills all humans.
Yeah, but now we have the resources and to defeat it.
But that comes from intelligence first. We need to know that we need to make this drug to beat it. We make the resources. It just becomes intelligence itself. It's not intelligence and resources.
No, so if that case was true, then we will see life everywhere, because then intelligence will always be winning, right? Why do we see planets absent life, right? Because that variable is not true all the time.
I mean, you need a level of intelligence. I'm not saying be like stupid and you're gonna win everything, but I think it's a level of intelligence.
no, I
which is
agree,
ours.
but I'm saying, but it can go easily the other way.
where it's just sheer strength.
I just know the intelligent design has a limit, and if it doesn't have the right time or the resources, it just will collapse. It won't get to that. It won't build itself to us or whatever. Even the higher intelligent I'll keep saying intelligent design, but intelligence that we're trying to reach.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm kind of going off, changing it up a little bit, and saying that I was wondering like why intelligence would even emerge.
Right.
When you think about it, I kind of think of intelligence. I don't know why consciousness isn't exactly intelligence, right? Because we talked about it last time. You could have intelligence and consciousness as separate things. But when I think of intelligence, of course, from a human perspective, I'm thinking that it has to be something that's self-aware. And when you think about that, like why even have this self-awareness? Because you have all these other entities like, bacteria and all these other things doing their work without being aware. Like, why did this thing emerge? Why do we need to be observing all this?
I think self-awareness is one of like the most powerful evolutionary traits possible, because now you have like a more increased level of care for yourself, because it's me, it's not us anymore. It's like you're self-aware of yourself, so you care so much more. But what else was I was going to say something else to you.
Yeah, you do care about yourself, but couldn't that be coded in like with everything else? Like you could have been coded to just simply survive. So when you get self-awareness, it's like out of nowhere when something becomes self-aware, it's like you become godlike.
So
go ahead.
So the way that I'm visualizing it, or where I see where it might become self-aware, is like imagine like just bunch of like bubbles in this empty room, right? And like a wind blows on it, or you just slightly push some of they're really microscopic bubbles that make up space and time, and wind blows and they all bump into one another, so it just gets like this wave effect, right? And as it's bumping together these particles, the ones that get aware that if they connect together, they make other elements, and they make other elements, and the more, so it's like, I think intelligence is like, it's being aware and moving forward. As soon as you understand, if we can combine this and combine that, now we're becoming something. Now this is becoming the Big Bang. Oh, this is causing our confusion is causing like the energy to exchange and explode. And as each interaction is happening, they're trying to figure out and survive it. The more you get aware of the natural codes that allow the universe to be, the more you evolve in it.
So do you think it was a freak accident that awareness just happened to emerge?
So I see a sea of infinite possibilities and probabilities, and someone just gave that emptiness like a push, and it just caused everything to like hit one another, and then some of it created the universe and consciousness, and so it's like it had to happen. Like it's just one of those things. It's just mathematically just all there, and it's like what's that one game, Price is Right, where the contestants go up in this really like 10-foot wall and they drop pieces and it bounces.
I saw that today.
And like that.
Are you talking about that one guy who was super enthusiastic?
No, video? I didn't watch it. I just remember watching it as a kid. But like you drop these big CD looking like things
Discs.
and disc, and you know what I'm talking about?
Sort of.
So you drop it from like a 2-story thing, and the thing falls down,
around,
and they have a bunch of like poles in the middle, and then it just bounces. So if you get it in the middle, you win $10,000, and so forth. If you get it more to the left or right, you don't get anything. Right?
Well, it's like a lower amount, it's like 1,000 or 100.
So that's what the universe is too. Like there's every mathematical possibilities you can say, yeah, if it goes this direction, X, Y, Z will happen,
So you're saying awareness is just one of those branches just happen to be.
Yeah. It was just, yeah.
One thing I was thinking is like, what if self-awareness and that like intelligent trait comes from like, as humans and how evolution works, so you survive, it comes up with a solution to a problem that you have, and I guess it takes a million years, whatever. But what if we just came into so many situations that was killing us off, that finally like self-awareness was something that nature granted us as like an unlocked ability? Okay, let's see if now this species can survive. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we kept dying from this, kept dying from this, kept dying from this. It's like, okay, like birds got the ability to start flying to get away from some of the stuff that was fighting. We got self-awareness.
So like
it's
nature was like, all right, I'm done with trying to figure out how you're gonna survive. You figure it out yourself.
Oh yeah, basically.
Hmm.
Man, I'm getting this crazy visual, like, describing like so like from nothing to wherever intelligence is trying to go to, right? So like just by saying what is intelligence, that's a beautiful question because you're saying like I see like a string like from us going all the way to cavemen's and going to the Big Bang. I just see us like that we're all are one and we're just going backwards in time. So like each molecular element had to be there, right? So in first need to understand what the structure is to create it to allow you to be who you are. So intelligent is from zero, emptiness, room, whatever, and it shoots itself in every direction in the universe. And as it's flying through space and time, it's getting aware how to create other things that are leading to us that we're
Right.
thinking, and now it's surviving that way, and it's keep going up. Like if you follow that start to the
Trajectory,
so where is how far, so I see like a cloud of smoke, it gets farther and further, and it gets weaker and denser and lighter and just disappears and turns off, and
Are you saying that for intelligence?
so it's just going to survive as
Yeah.
far as it can until it can no longer survive.
Well, what if let's imagine that the Earth, in that scenario, is the only planet in the universe with
Yeah.
life, intelligent life.
Yeah.
So if you imagine your thing like that little light, it's getting more complex and intelligence. But then, I don't know, an asteroid hits the planet Earth,
Yeah.
all intelligence dies, and then you see the intelligence go back down, and then maybe
Yeah.
rise back up sometime.
So like what I vision is like, like I see a light, or you can just imagine a figurative like hand sticking up in the darkness, and that's intelligence trying to keep going and reaching, right? And as soon as something strikes it, and it goes back to darkness. So it's just like a spray paint just going forward in time, and it's trying to, and we're part of it. So we just got to keep this reproducing, keep sending it forward, be more aware. The more aware you are, the more you can create new things within the laws of the universe, and the further you can advance.
If there is a purpose to the universe, could that be the purpose?
I think the purpose is survive the way we're talking about.
But what does survival do? Like, purpose might be survival,
Here.
but if there is an end goal to the universe, is it intelligence?
I think like the best answer to that is like what Neil deGrasse Tyson says about anything that they're studying. Like he was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and I mean he even asked him like, what's the point of going to Mars? And he's like, the honest answer is I don't know. So like we don't know why we're trying to get intelligent, but it might lead to one of those scenarios where they were research like E equal MC square created transistors and quantum mechanics that led to our cell phones, that led to this tech boom that we're getting, right? So we don't know, the same way we don't know what technology will bring in the future that we're investing in now. Maybe the same purposes of intelligence. As long as you keep surviving, we don't know the answer to what this thing is. It was just keep surviving, and boom, one day, just like a cell phone that was created, it'll figure out its purpose. So like purpose is to survive.
Just
and
keep
get to that
testing
point.
theories. Keep testing different theories, and one possibility will move us forward.
And the most bizarre thing is that we're talking about purpose, but it could really easily be that this whole thing is a side effect, like accident.
Side effect of what?
Side effect, like maybe maybe if the universe was trying to do one thing, like it did not even care about having self-aware intelligence,
Right.
and somehow it was like a side effect of what it was actually trying to do. But this just kind of emerged on the side.
Yeah, and it's not, and then it comes down to benefits, right? If this thing is self-aware, it can manipulate its surroundings to become even more self-aware, and then it's just like a layer that you just gradually keep going,
Yeah.
So we're a mistake. We're
I don't
all
know.
mistakes.
I mean, think about it. Why do we have I mean, it's that human mind, right? You want to know why. Like, why do we even have a universe? Like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, it's just empty.
And, of course, our Feynman used to say that there is no final answer to a why, because every why that you ask leads to another why.
Yeah.
So you
It's,
just keep going.
It's a paradox of
Question,
why.
Yeah.
question is infinite itself.
What?
The question itself is infinite.
Yeah.
Or is it? It's just something to think. I mean, it can be, it can be both, but like when you really think about that, like, our brains can't compute it, because like, no, there has to be one answer to everything. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there has to be a reason.
Yeah, but then
why.
once you get
Yeah.
there, are you gonna also is there a question that you get to where you don't ask why?
It's like I see a calculator. 1 + 9 equals. It gives you a certain answer. Just certain answer, certain answer. So is there gonna be a question that equals that just won't have an answer?
Yeah, or
Well,
like even
wouldn't that be-
asking something like why. What if that whole idea of asking why is incredibly stupid that we don't even
Just
realize
don't even
it?
ask it. But
Once we get to that super intelligent level, we learn some new way of phrasing something, which is like a question, but it's not really.
Yeah.
it's like
and
more of a
it's-
statement almost. Closer.
Some kind of weird thing that we can't even imagine to ask in a way.
It's got to at least be
Which-
51% statement, 49% question. But I was saying, dang, lost it.
Like, what if the answer is right in front of you, but you don't know what question to ask?
Oof, I love that one.
You know,
Love
it's
thinking
kind of
about
like
So then you just ask why is that?
yeah,
I just keep asking that question.
yeah,
But yeah, you're right. It could be in
Yeah.
that plastic bottle or something.
right,
Maybe the way you opened or something, you understand something about the universe.
yeah,
And this is how everything started.
yeah.
you
Like
know?
like that whole thing with fish in the sea. Like, imagine you're diving underwater and you were able to talk to a fish, and you would just say like, "Hey, there's water everywhere," and the fish will be like, "What's water?"
Yeah.
You know, kind of
Wow.
like that whole idea. Like, we don't even have the questions because we can't even imagine those questions,
Yeah.
which really lead to the deeper answers. Right now, we're just like, why?
So
That
all,
might just be stupid.
so all those
Yeah.
questions and calculations, and we're looking for the last answer, which would be more of a statement than a question. Would that be the absolute truth then? Would that equal absolute truth, that last question? Would the answer be the absolute truth?
For me, the absolute truth, yeah, it would be something that would encompass every single thing. Like for right now, we think of the string theory as combining the small and the big, and we think it unifies all physics theories. So maybe there's a question out there and an answer which encompasses the entirety of the universe. But what is that question?
Yeah, because physics right now breaks down at a microscopic level, right?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't one of the questions just be why?
So our
Of
physics
all
are wrong.
this, you
yeah,
know?
exactly.
So our physics isn't complete.
I mean, our physics are not wrong. I mean, but yeah, it's not complete. The standard models.
I feel like it is wrong if it doesn't encompass everything in the universe from microscopic to macro
No.
level. There should be one thing that answers it all because it's all space and all
I
time.
mean, it doesn't make it wrong. It's still very true. It's just that facts are only thing that you can observe. If we can't observe anything, then is it really a reality? You can really get into that.
It's like it's almost a separate reality when you come to a microscopic level, and it's a different reality here, and they're living right side to side.
Yeah. It's a different reality. If you're a dog, you see the world differently. If you're a mantis shrimp, which is
Yeah.
our favorite thing, reality is different.
Yeah,
But
so
which one is the truest? Is that the right question to ask? Is there a real
Yeah.
reality?
Is it a truest per individual that's viewing life?
it just comes on the observer. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, literally, you could have psychosis or something, and you could see the universe and the world completely different than me.
But
You
it's
know?
real for me. It's real for you. They're both real. So every single life that's being lived is.
but from my perspective, then which one is real?
Yeah, exactly. Which one is it?
it?
So maybe Jesus, Muhammad, and Moses, peace be upon all of them. They that's just their life.
There's too much politics involved in that one, I think.
No, what are you trying to say?
And
Is
it's like, which
maybe
one do you-
that maybe, but those. So
And
then,
they're saying they're the truth.
yeah, but
know?
then you can't even argue. You can't even go deeper. Like, how do we know they existed? How do I even know you exist? Like we can't even get to. Because like those people that you're talking about, maybe they had they thought their reality was so true, right? That's what you're trying to say. But I'm
Yeah.
trying to say, so those everything in the universe exists inside your head. So how do you know that you're true, and not everything else that's inside your head is just made up?
I can only prove that I'm true, and I cannot prove that any of you guys are true.
Right.
So that makes everything very difficult. And
Wait, did you say true? I don't think you can prove yourself that you're true. You could be something completely different than you think you are.
I
Yeah,
just
that's
know
what I'm
that
trying to say.
I can do calculations for myself if I do this. This always happens. Like I could tap my laptop
Yeah.
and I have that control, but I don't know what's happening in your mind. I don't know what's running you. Is it a consciousness like my
But
own?
how do you
I
even
can't
know
prove
that?
you're conscious.
Like, how do
almost.
you know that
What if you're
feeling,
programmed?
that feeling that you have, like, okay, I'm gonna touch this.
Yeah.
how do you know that's not another avatar, or you're an avatar and somebody else
Oh God.
is sending those neurons to
Very
your brain? You're
possible.
like, oh yeah, I have control.
'Cause
Yeah.
What if
Playing-
it's just a feeling of control?
Because playing Grand Theft Auto, oh my God, man! Like, I mean, it's just like I'm that person driving this car. I'm like happy for him and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's me.
But to that point, if it is someone sending a signal and that's you right now, if you're aware, isn't that being alive?
Ooh, that's brilliant.
No, absolutely. So I agree with you that the only thing we can prove is that we're aware.
Yeah.
So that's sorry. I didn't mean that you're. That I
You
can't
said
prove that
true.
you're conscious. Not that I can prove that you're not conscious, but I can't prove that you're aware. That's better.
Yes, exactly.
There we
Yeah.
go. Cool. Problem solved. Next.
Because at first he was saying
but-
that he said he can only prove that he's true. I'm like, wait, true?
No,
you all are false.
me.
No, I mean, it's your own, perspective, right? So you're
Yeah.
the real reality, and everyone else is. I
To
mean,
you,
if
yeah.
you're gonna observe this reality, the question will come: how do I know they see and feel the same thing I see and feel?
Yeah.
How do I know you're not just a character in my life?
Man, I
Or,
can't even prove that you guys exist if I was to
Yeah.
literally walk out and close the door behind you and I can't see you anymore. Are you even there? 'Cause do
Yeah.
you just teleport out? Okay, I have no need from in my programmed world anymore. And once I open the door and Z exists again.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I sometimes I visualize my life like a procedural thing. So as I walk, the universe is creating
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
is
dude.
creating things.
And what if blinking is used for that? Why are our eyes just not open at all times? I know actually protect your eyes, but what if we blink and it loads more things in? Because it can't
That's
change
right.
everything at real time at 60 frames per second or
Yeah.
90, whatever we run at.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, once they blink, we can pop in a couple frames and hit play.
Yeah. You know how games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, what they do is when you're going to a new area, you'll go on like a long bridge or like a ladder. So it just takes time doing nothing and the world is loading.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're
that's
drunk.
what that was for. Huh?
Yeah.
And if you're
hilarious.
if you drink and now you're like buzzed or drunk and now like your processor is running slow, it's like more like malware and stuff and everything starts lagging, you
Yeah.
know? It's like frames per second go down.
Yeah.
You're like
That's-
glitching.
That's how it's about right now.
Right. Remember when you played Mass Effect? Remember those conversations in the elevators? That was all loading in the background.
That's brilliant because
yeah,
it kept me
yeah.
engaged properly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But going back to that whole consciousness thing. So now we create an AI and we're like, all right, you know what? It looks like it's conscious. How do you even figure that out? Like, how do you transfer yourself inside and be like, yeah, dude, this thing is aware? How do you do that?
You can't. That's the same thing that goes with you and me, though. I can't prove your awareness. Oh man, that's a tricky question. Ali, do you have an answer?
It's all in your head.
Yeah, I mean, you can never go. If I can never go into your brain
But
and be you, then I can't prove that you're self-aware.
so
I'd
some-
have to be you for me to prove that you're self-aware.
some philosophers say there has to be some sort of reality that this my perspective cannot be the only thing. That if you agree with something that we can see and observe, we both agree on what the color of the tree is, what the color. If we once you start agreeing on certain things, it's either that one, your brain is also answering those things, or two, that this person is very real, and then you're proving the reality in it. But maybe, sorry, one last thing. Maybe when the story is finished, that you find out that it was probably made up.
But
The
thing, that's amazing. And while you were saying that, I came up with this a test to prove are you self-aware or not. I could prove only way you could prove to me that you are self-aware would be that you show me an original idea. Of course, there had to be a database, and Hasban would run like a giant credit sheet, and everyone would be credited for an original idea. If I could somehow prove that yes, that's an original idea, you are self-aware.
We actually talked about it in the last podcast. Hey, Hasban, do you remember what is that? The Turing test.
What was my rebuttal?
So, I was actually looking that up right as you guys were talking, because I was like, what the hell is that test anyways?
Yeah.
What test?
Isn't that an
Well,
Ex
Turing
Machina?
test.
That's
Ex
Ex Machina.
Machina,
Yeah, it's in Ex Machina. It's also in Westworld. Remember Anthony Hopkins' character?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
goes, they passed the Turing test in
Yes.
an X amount of time.
I'm sorry, what, Turing?
Okay,
test?
I can
Turing
explain to him.
Turing Turing test.
I can
Okay.
explain it
Turing.
to him. Remember in Ex Machina, because I know you saw that movie. We were talking about it.
Yeah.
The test he's running on that machine, that girl.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I just remember the ending of that movie. Anyway, where he's like testing that girl, and that's basically he was trying to get her to give an original thought or
Well, prove that she's conscious.
basically it's a test to prove if you're conscious, and they do it in Ex Machina.
But do you remember what the test was?
I forgot now.
Okay, so basically what happens is like a human interviews two people. One is the computer, and one is a real person.
Okay.
And he asks them a bunch of questions, and if he cannot tell the computer from the human, then they pass the test. But if he can tell that that's a human and that's a computer, then they fail.
Oh wow.
So at the point where the computer can basically reply like a human, and the guy can't tell, they pass the test.
We need
That's a basic version of it, by the way. There's like different versions.
Have you guys heard of the problem that Ticketmaster is having with bots? Basically, they'll put up okay, you know, this show is going on sale, and someone has like bots, and 500 bots will just swoop in and get the tickets, then they sell it at a higher price. And they have 99 or 90 something percent of bots get blocked, but that 1% that gets away gets like 3,000 tickets or something in a minute. And they cannot somehow figure out what test do we do to make sure bots don't get through. That 1% wrecks everything. So basically, yeah, and they're able to sell those tickets at like StubHub and all that shit at a higher price.
That's amazing.
That this show is sold out, but people are holding the tickets.
That's amazing. So in the last podcast, when you were talking about the Turing test, we said that proves intelligence. It doesn't exactly prove that thing is self-aware.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying original idea would be a step forward. If you come up with an original idea,
but if
then you couldn't have programmed it from anywhere else.
You can't really prove anything is
that's the problem.
Self-aware. I can't even prove that you are.
Exactly.
That's what we've
But I don't think even an original thought would not work, because you have things like emergent things which can come out of something, because you are not intelligent enough to see that all this might lead to this.
But if I programmed it, I know these are all the possibilities that are aware to me from my self-awareness. But if you come up with, like, let's say Alexa, it's programmed to be very, very intelligent. It knows answers and stuff, but there's some things it'll just say, I don't know, because it would be an original thought if you had the answer.
But it doesn't have to be original thought. It could be that through those computations, it created something because it's more intelligent than you that you couldn't create.
Yeah,
from those same parameters.
So
it still doesn't prove that it's self-aware. You just can't. It could be that, whoa, this thing is super intelligent. It discovered something from my set of programming that even I didn't know.
I feel like if it's in my set of programming, it's discovered.
But if you can't create an original thought, then are you aware?
No, if I can't prove to you, but I know I'm good. I'm right.
But no, I'm saying the fact that you can't come up with the original thought. What does that say about you?
I've been trying all these years, man. Maybe I'm just I'm a hoax. I just copy stuff.
So that's my question. You're not real.
Darn. I thought I was real, guys. It sucks. I'm depressed.
You know that whole thing that they talk about with the computer? Imagine in the future you can transfer your consciousness to a computer.
Yeah.
Before you die, right? So when you do that, even when you're in the computer, there's no reason to believe that you actually transfer your consciousness. It could just be a digital copy of you.
It would never be you. Consciousness is magical. There's some sort of wand that's put upon you.
Here's a weird thing. Say they transfer everything, right, into that computer, and you come online after dying, and you're like, hey, yeah, this is me. And they confirm with you, wait, this is you. And you'll be like, yeah, this is me. And because you still have your memories uploaded. And now there's no way to tell. Like, you could, from the outside, it looks like you're completely aware, because you're like, yeah, I just died, I remember, and now I'm here.
So your awareness had to have transferred too for that to work.
Or it's just a programming. Like, you have all the programming needed to just, like, pass a Turing test, you know? Just be intelligent enough to pass a Turing test. Where other humans observing from the outside can't tell if you're machine or
they gotta take
real.
your word.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they can't test it.
Yeah. So I mean, you could be something that's conscious, but you're not that person that they transferred.
Yeah.
You have parts of that person.
Yeah.
Maybe you're half of him. Or
yeah. I think about it with free will.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do we know exactly that when you feel in the times that you think you have control, how do you know that's not just a feeling? You know, like a feeling of control. Like, yeah, I'm doing this.
I don't believe in free will. So we talked about it.
I don't ever really think that I have control. I always think that control is an illusion.
Yeah, so I guess we all agree.
No, because if you think about it, like right now we're sitting, but most people would feel like they're in control of the room. But what if a fucking truck comes in here? We're not we have no control of that.
Yeah, but do you have control of yourself?
situation.
Do you have control of yourself?
We're not control of the situation.
Or do you have control of the room?
We're not control of the room.
Yeah, but do you have control of yourself?
Do I have control of myself?
You feel like you do, right?
I don't have it of my auto like immune system. I
Yeah.
only do of my physical body, but nothing that's happening
Yeah.
inside me.
Right, but you still feel you have some control. Like you can choose to do this, raise your hands, talk when you want
I
to.
feel like I do have a vote, like executive power.
Now, how do you? That's
Like-
that's
like-
my
But
question.
I mean, to a certain parameter of things.
Like you can veto a certain decision.
Yeah, but so that's what I'm saying. Is that just a feeling that you can?
Yeah.
You get
I-
that sense like, oh, I did the vetoing.
Even usually I don't go that deep, but when I do, I know it's not me deciding.
What if you're standing on like hot coals? You know, you'd be like, I want to do this. It's a test for me. I have to do it for 10 seconds. You know, and I'll look cool in front of my friends. So you do it, but your decision is I want to stand this, but your body just jumps out. It's like, no, it's
Well, I
too
feel
hot.
like willpower is limited. You know, like I can. It's all about environment. If you put me in like the right kind of like like environment, I might do something that normally I wouldn't do. You know what I mean? So that environment can make me.
Yeah.
The fact that you have reflexes, I feel like if it takes away some self-control. You know, if I put my hand on the hot plate, whatever, no matter what, my reaction is just gonna be off, even though I'm deciding to do this. So it's like, is the body vetoing me too?
No, I guess when you get to that level, that's like millions of years of evolution, and you touching hot stuff, and it's just been baked into your DNA by now. But yeah, their DNA is definitely all these little things at the microscopic levels are definitely all the things that we have no control over. It just happens.
Dude,
So even my physical body, I don't have control over completely.
But on a regular day, we get that feeling. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I believe, like Ali, we had that debate before, but that feeling that you have some control.
but
I feel that all the time.
that feeling it's also just made up, you know.
Yeah.
It was meant to happen.
So are we
So,
just
like-
Are we just like a movie that someone hit play and now we're just
Yep.
acting out the scenes? I'm just this
That's-
person.
Yep.
That sucks.
Is there like some? Is there you know? I imagine like God or nature as God, and just sitting behind and just controlling an infinite amount of parts, and like just controlling everything, and we just observe from one perspective. But that super being or nature has like the view of like a trillion different things.
I wonder if you can make a
Mm.
movie like that where you just, they came out with that one, it's like a James Bond type of movie, but everything's in first person and you're just that person. But it would be like a way higher level.
Action movie.
I forgot.
Yeah, it was. I always wanted to watch that movie. I still haven't. But before the topic changes, like when he said willpower, I was just laughing because Donald Trump said, he doesn't work out." Do you guys read that? It's so funny. He said something like,
Hardcore Henry. Sorry, go ahead.
"Yeah, that was good." He said that he doesn't work out because he feels like when you're born with a limited amount of energy. And if you start depleting it, and when you go to work out, you deplete it, and you can die early.
You could die early from that.
Yeah, because
From exercise.
because you get a finite or whatever amount of energy when you're born.
How old is Trump again?
Oh,
70
check this out.
plus.
What was-
Other than golf, he considers exercise misguided, arguing that a person, like a battery, is born with a finite amount of energy.
Yeah.
So we're batteries.
Yeah.
So he basically doesn't agree with any exercise advice or exercise science. The consensus is working out basically makes you live longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump thinks the opposite.
Yeah. I don't know why I just reminded of what we were.
Yeah.
That is this like recent or this is like old news?
This
That's
is like
2005.
no. Yeah, it was.
Oh, wait, sorry. No, it's not. That's
2017, May 15th. Okay, so this is kind of new. But wow, man, his quotes are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
My favorite one is still that this is why I'm the president and you're not. Like a child.
Yeah, he's a man child.
Man, baby.
But going back to that just I don't know what we were talking about earlier with energy and stuff. I felt like that was funny, but
Yeah.
we can go segue back to.
We're just gonna force back this segue.
Yeah.
Force it.
I forgot what we were talking about.
I did too, actually. What were we
You know,
talking about?
intelligence.
design.
One thing that's really, really cool is the new Samsung Bixby software. Basically, now you can point your phone camera at, let's say, at a shop, and it'll. Oh my God, it's so crazy. So it's AR, right? What's AR stand for? But I know the acronym applies.
Augmented reality.
Boom.
Augmented, yeah.
I love it. Awesome. So you point the Bixby, the phone, whatever, at like a shop, it'll pull up its name, its Yelp reviews, and everything. And you're just like, okay, what about this shop? What about this shop? So it's like, dude, it's like a layer of intelligence that's being added onto you.
Wait, so
now I'm looking at it.
So that is the next level. So Facebook is doing this. Google is doing this. The Samsung one you saw might have been from Google. I'm confused. I didn't know Samsung had its own, but maybe it does.
They just launched it. Samsung
So
Bixby.
and also Microsoft is working on this.
HoloLens.
Yeah, HoloLens. So basically that is the next thing. Instead of going to virtual reality,
Awesome.
you might just say, fuck it, I'll do augmented reality.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You're just, dude, they're doing so much stuff on like Play Store now too. You just point your phone, there's like dinosaurs running around you and
Yeah.
shit. It's crazy.
Yeah, and
It's
then
like,
like
wow, that reality is true too. Up
So-
to that point.
So Facebook at their new conference, basically, that's all they talked about. So I think they had it last month. So they have like a yearly conference. And one of the things is like, let's say I go to a restaurant, I can write something on that table in augmented reality. And you can go to that same restaurant and go to that same spot, and you can look at what I wrote.
Dude, that is so
Yeah, that's pretty
cool,
sick.
man.
But
That's
you're
a
not
whole,
actually writing on it.
that's
Yeah.
another layer of a reality.
It's pretty
that's being
sick if you think
applied.
about it. That is some next level.
Because, dude, that's
Yeah.
like being 4D, and not really, but like, it's like another layer that you can just access
That's that whole
of realities.
That's that whole Ray Kurzweil merging with technology thing.
Yeah.
We're becoming cyborgs.
Can
It's
you
like
ima-
that information or that text or that icon. It's in a digital space right there. So no
It's
matter
a realm
which
of its
phone,
own.
yeah, it's pinpointed to be there anytime someone
Oh my
plays
God,
it.
you could do
Yeah.
so much. Oh my God, it's kind of
It just has to be your eye at one point. Right now, it's on your
Mhm.
phone. Eventually,
it'll
that
be a
it just has
lens.
to go. Yeah, it's got to go to real. Well, like I said, the Microsoft, or like you said, the Microsoft HoloLens will actually be a lens.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true. And then I believe Sony's working on these contact lenses
Yeah.
that you can play videos on, things like that. I'm telling you, the next 10 years, even 5 years, are gonna
Remember,
be wild.
Remember, if we're going towards this singularity,
Mhm.
the rate of technology improving is increasing, and we're not
Exponentially.
noticing it. Yeah, it's exponential. Like, I do all this social media stuff, dude. I cannot keep up with the news. There's something new almost every day, like
Yeah.
some kind of groundbreaking thing. Not groundbreaking, but yeah, some kind of new advance in technology.
We're
Yeah.
just so connected
But
now.
you know,
This hyper connectivity.
I just recently read an article that we are no longer on the path to singularity. I don't know if you can Google that we accidentally
It's so
slowed
depressing.
down.
Why would you bring
Um,
that up?
I
That we
remember hearing
slowed down.
something like that a while
Yeah.
ago because
Yeah.
of Moore's law.
Something with computer data not being able to compress it as much. Weren't we talking about quantum computers? And that would be the next big jump. But until we don't get there, like we're not on the path anymore.
You don't have the technology to
Oh, you-
go
like
at
it's
that
not
rate.
exponential growth anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, we've grown so fast now.
Yeah.
We're gonna plateau a little bit.
Exactly.
Like
And
right
that's where
now,
we are,
like
kinda.
kind of right now, what Ali was talking about when we first got here, and we were just talking about his new PC build. When he had his previous processor, he was able to do one thing, like let's say play a game at 60 frames per second at a time. He couldn't do anything else. But now you can play that game and watch a 4K video.
And
That's something
render.
that he could do only one at a time. Now you can do two of them at the same time.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's like a 50% jump.
yeah. I mean, right there and then yeah. I mean, yeah.
Wild style.
It is.
That is
great. You know that augmented reality thing
Yeah.
reminds me of a crazy short story that I can't remember the name of, but I read on Reddit like a few weeks ago, and it was about this society that was every time there was a kid born, they put these special contacts on them, and
Oh my
everyone that was
goodness.
living in that world didn't realize that the world was an augmented reality.
Wow.
Damn.
So it
Yeah.
could be completely crap. You could be walking
Yeah, it
around
was
just
like-
war torn, but you see like this beauty and
Yeah.
this and that.
So the way it at one point when he takes his this one guy becomes aware that the reality is not what it is. He's like this one guy who figures it out and takes off his contacts and there's nothing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
so
completely black.
yeah,
like
and
they're
that's-
blind otherwise.
Wow.
you know what's crazy? It's kind of like North Korea. Augmented reality is their country. You know,
Yeah.
like oh we have restaurants. Oh we have this. Bustly
Right.
bar. But like none of that actually exists. It's all set for whoever's
Show.
coming to visit. Yeah. It's like an augmented reality country.
Oh, is that? Sometimes I wonder if that's true because they make it. It's
They
so
make it sound so
crazy.
bad.
It's so crazy that I'm like, is this real?
But the guy that was in North Korea, that was on that episode of with Joe Rogan, which I'll pull up, he says that actually happened. You can tell when it's a set. Like they'll have computers that are not plugged in, but they're trying to show that there's advanced society that has technology and access to the internet. But even their internet now, it's like called intranet or in some weird,
Mhm.
but it only has like 3 or 12 or something websites
Yeah, it's very limited.
that are super
It's limited.
regulated. So North Korea doesn't have Netflix and this and that. They're so tightly shut
Can you
into
imagine
their
that
reality, into
Yeah.
just what's supposed to be real for them, that North Korea is the best, everyone else sucks, we're supreme, and they're not allowed to believe anything else, and they're not going to let anyone come and interpret them, or
But
put
he-
any other ideas in their
He
mind.
put it in a really good way, saying that they all are prisoners. They're
In
not.
that augmented reality.
Yeah, I mean they
It's
don't
not
have a
actually true,
choice. They're not deciding to be there. They're being
You know,
forced to.
And what would be, and probably the sad thing is that they don't know they're prisoners because they
Some
don't
of
know
it-
what else
And
is
that's
out
the
there.
whole game.
Some of them do, but they have to pretend. Everyone rats on. The military is so strong that the family members will rat on one another just not to get in trouble.
It's not even that. It's like even crazier than that. And if the suicide rate got up at one point, but if you kill yourself, the quota has to be fulfilled by your family. So you're like screwing your family over, and then still people want to kill themselves because that's how bad it can be. If you think about it. Something before this goes away too far, because can you imagine an augmented reality movie? That'd be insane. Would that work? Okay, you have to walk like this way, but you're seeing everything in an augmented reality.
Like a
Yeah.
movie in
It
real
sounds
life.
more like a game.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
a game.
It'll be.
Yeah,
It would be
dude,
a lot.
yeah,
It'll be a
it
lot
would
of
be.
walking.
Interactive game. But you know what's awesome is that's happening too. Virtual reality is basically the same thing, but okay, so they have like this weird treadmill which allows omnidirectional running, walking, everything, and that's all
so cool.
used as an input into this virtual reality game. So you can now be an avatar, but it will actually be you. So like you'll have these hands controllers, and they'll get so fluid in the next 5-10 years that you'll literally be walking around another world.
But I think
You got your fans hitting you that beautiful wind. Everything's gonna be so real.
I don't think they got a good response from it. So everyone that was investing into VR might pull back.
That's fine.
I think the problem right now is the cost of VR. It's too expensive
expensive,
for the
yeah.
general public to
And
just.
the technology is still not there.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Moore's law earlier, and if it's slowing down, you were saying the singularity is slowing down. I've heard about Moore's law slowing down, and also a lot of people said that the singularity would not go to the next step until quantum computing was good.
Mhm.
But the new news I'm reading is I think they're finally getting it. It's finally coming out of the lab.
Quantum, right?
Yeah,
I
quantum
think Google
computing.
is at
So
the
I think-
forefront.
Yeah. So I think we might be back on track
Because someone's made I think
to dying.
to dying.
somebody made an
Sweet.
announcement like a few weeks ago, right, saying that they have it ready now or
I
something.
thought AMD
Yeah,
said
no.
something about
Yeah.
quantum computing too.
This was a few weeks ago. Yeah, Google did something with it.
Or some company figured it out, or they said they're on the verge to release it. I think they either discovered it or it was some major news, but can't recall.
Google,
Yeah.
Microsoft, and a host of labs and startups are racing to turn scientific curiosities into working machines. Quantum computers ready to leap out of the lab in 2017. This article is dated January.
So a few weeks ago, some story came out. I can't recall what it was, but yeah, that'd be the shit, man. I mean, so like a lot of the why questions that we have that our computers cannot compute. Maybe these things will be able to create small universes that we can try to play out the same formula and then understand the cause.
Speed up time and just let it go.
Yeah, we can start our own mini universe in a lab or virtual universe, and then see how the cause and effects lead to intelligent life and learn from that. Because like if sometimes you don't have the answer, like you just have to try to recreate that scenario so you can just learn from it. So once you learn the cause and effect, if you figure out enough, laws about the universe, like the mathematic codes, and you build the algorithm into a computer and hit play to replicate your own thing.
Then you can recreate intelligence. You can recreate life because if
Yeah.
you know the effect, you know the cause, etc.
Yeah, so you see a film. We're right now we're seeing it going backwards, but that once you recreate it in a virtual reality, you'll see it going forward. So you might learn more things going forward.
You'll know step by step instructions basically. at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. But besides the start part, but you'll get close. But we will answer more questions.
Yeah. I wonder how much faster it exactly is. Can you look that up? How much faster would a quantum computer be than a normal?
Insanely fast.
It would be at the speed of light, but the craziest thing about I mean, I know computing basics basically that how they do 1 0 1 0. So the way the transistors work, I think, is it can either be a 1 or like nothing.
Yeah.
But with quantum computers, it can be a 1 and a a zero at the same time.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
It's pretty crazy if you think about it.
it's 100 million times faster than your laptop.
Damn.
Shit.
They said the
That's
one
a
right
lot.
now costs $15 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and that processor will figure out how to be even more powerful. Because I mean, the reason we're able to figure out how to create this is to create some sort of computer right now to help us create it in the lab, right?
Yeah.
So the more powerful tools you have, the more powerful things you can.
So right now we're basically asking questions, but our computers are just we're getting the answer, but it's slow. With quantum computing, we can get our answers faster.
Because yeah,
You know?
they will build more powerful things, but be a lot smaller, right? You don't need a giant computer or whatever. But like the reason why I'm saying we'll discover things is because they can compute more infinite numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So you can do some crazy.
Like imagine you wanted to run a simulation which took an infinite amount of time.
Yeah, and
that you couldn't do because you don't have infinite
so
years to wait.
So you can ask a computer, okay, list me all the possibilities from here's our knowledge of everything we ever known. Give me all the possibilities that life can start from the beginning till us, and that thing will compute everything it knows about anything and do all the mathematics, and it will say, okay, these three were successful because X, Y, and Z happened. So then you can zero out the scenarios. You know what I mean?
Right. But I feel like even for that to happen, I guess we would still have to input that knowledge into that computer, right? Because like the way we think of the internet, it's like we're gathering all this information for a super intelligent computer to just come one day and just use it all in like the blink of a second. So I wonder if we want a calculation, it would still need some knowledge, but we can send out things, I'm sure, because of quantum computing further and faster, which will allow us to gather that information.
And the discoveries that will come from it are obviously a millionfold.
You got something there, husband?
Yeah, basically it just kind of goes into the basics of why it's so much faster. Basically, it's going to be exponentially faster, and you said, 100 million times faster than a normal computer?
Yeah.
And I thought we were fast enough, but...
Shit.
That's wild. Basically, they're saying trying to get an understanding of new developments without a physics degree and a master of scientific jargon isn't easy. But essentially, researchers ran simulated tests of standard computer chips and compared them to the capabilities of the D-Wave 2x when doing the same sums. That's where the 100 million speed increase was noted. So basically, you can ask a question of a regular computer versus our super intelligent or a quantum computer. You'll get your answers 100 million times faster. So basically, bigger questions that took us longer to answer could be answered a lot faster. So we move faster.
I think this would
future.
be good to play for the audience. If you can put up the volume. So this is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau explaining quantum computing. It's a pretty cool video. All right, then.
All right, it's not recording.
It's all right.
I'll read his lips out loud.
It's about quantum computing, but most of you, normal computers work, either there's power going through a wire, normal computers work
So someone asked him a question about this, or and then it was like a joke.
Don't
and he kept
interrupt
going.
me. When you walk out of here, you will know more. Well, no, some of you will know far less about quantum computing, but most of you, normal computers work, either there's power going through a wire or not.
You want to put it
One
up there too,
or a zero. They're binary systems. What quantum states allow for is much more complex information to be encoded into a single bit. Regular computer bit is either 1 or 0, on or off. A quantum state can be much more complex than that because, as we know, things can be both particle and wave at the same times, and the uncertainty around quantum states allows us to encode more information into a much smaller computer. So that's what's exciting about quantum computing, and that's what we're
So someone asked him the question as like a joke, but he
Yeah.
actually answered it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I was supposed to say the reason that's so cool is because it was someone was trolling him and he answered it
Yeah.
in so much detail.
I want that question asked to Donald Trump now. I just really want to know his answer.
Quantum computers, I don't believe in quantum.
What was when he was doing his rant and he was asking the reporter like nuclear bombs or something like that. Do you know what that is? Like he was asking like
Do you know what a nuclear bomb is?
Oh, like he was asking the
Yeah,
reporter that.
reporter. Yeah, it's very dangerous or something like. I don't know. It was some sort of thing.
very dangerous.
But,
I feel like Donald Trump is just such an interesting character because no matter what, he still won the presidency.
Unbelievable.
Is he intelligent design?
I just like I'm not saying he's not stupid. I'm not saying he's not petty, and he is all that. But at the same time, he has to have some level of intelligence to do what he's doing.
Our voting, the way we vote for a president or even have a president in general, that's an intelligent design.
Wait, is it that he has a certain level of intelligence, or do the average people have that much stupidity?
I think the system is
No,
just
I'm saying
unintelligent.
that no matter what you see on the media, he's still doing stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like he has somewhat of a plan. It might seem weird to us and might not make sense, but in his world, it does make sense. And
Yeah, I mean, we can't
I feel
say.
like the media just wants to always make him look dumb. But remember that
but his
George Bush
IQ,
thing?
his IQ is.
Yeah, he makes it easy to do that too. But like the media is just focused on making him look dumb. But when you underestimate your opponent, if he is like an opponent, I feel like you kind of miss what his strengths are if you just make fun of him all the time.
Right.
He must have some strengths.
Yeah,
He's
I mean,
still the president, and he has a lot of power, and he does do stuff.
not everyone can take $1 million and turn it into what he did. You know, even though he got money from his parents or whatever, not everyone can do that.
I'm sure there's someone behind this thing, but if you ever go to a Trump Tower, that shit is amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Does it like you can get $1 million right now? You probably cannot replicate what he did. So there is some sort of effort and intelligence.
Yeah, he has some. Maybe he's just an asshole,
Wait,
and
is that right? Can we check that?
What?
I thought he was just a billionaire to begin with.
No,
I mean, his family was rich, so
Yeah.
they.
He said that I got a small loan of $1 million.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Small
Yeah.
loan.
That's not bad at all.
I
It's
mean,
not
yeah.
huge.
Not everyone can. If someone can probably take that 1 million, turn it to 10, but before they died.
And they're
Yeah.
still
I
awesome.
mean, he did grow that.
Into
However he did.
billions.
I mean, it could be just dumb luck, but
Oh wow, not small loan. I got.
Yeah, he did say that. A small loan of $1 million.
He got 200 million according to homie. Marco Rubio also said I got 200. Marco Rubio also has 200 million.
no way.
No, he's saying he wish he did,
Oh.
like Donald Trump did.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, not all of us can turn. So I mean, there is some sort of thing in his brain that is working, but he just.
His father, Fred Trump, was at one point one of the richest men in America. Wow.
Interesting.
And I don't know if you've heard this before, but some people have done the math, and if he put that money into an index fund, he would have made the same amount of money. Kind of don't believe that in some ways, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, it probably would have. I mean, if not if it's $1 million, but if it's probably 200 million, like they're saying. I mean, if you see how the tech industry grew, I mean, we all had a dramatic growth from like the 70s till now.
So then are we saying it's not that big of a deal then, what he did with his wealth?
Donald Trump would be richer if he'd have invested in index funds. I know there was a big debate about this back then because, they're like, he's really not as rich or as smart as we think he is. I mean, even then, even to stay with the market, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's not awful.
I mean, yeah. I mean, doesn't make you. Yeah. He just comes across stupid. I mean, in politics, he is stupid. That's not his field. So.
What he did in NATO was funny. He like pushed one dude out of the way to get in front.
Yeah, I thought that was like a Saturday Night Live skit or something. I didn't realize it was actual.
That was so epic, dude.
Yeah.
The best part was when he gives him a look down, then looks like left and right, shrugs his shoulder, grabs his suit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
such a power move.
It's like a movie trailer, dude. it's like it's just bizarre,
But no, that's real life. That's the U.S. and he's our president. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
I feel like at this point, nobody knows what's really happening, and everyone's just waiting for something to happen. Some people think he's going to be impeached. Some people think he's doing a great job. Though I don't
Yeah.
think there's that many people who
I don't
think
think I
that.
want him impeached.
Well, how do you even get him impeached? Don't the Republicans control the House and the Senate and all
Some
that?
of them are starting to say that it is impeachment. Like I think what's his name, McCain came out and said it. Also, like a few people are quitting because they know the FBI is investigating, so they are lying on his behalf and shit. So like what's his name, Chef Munez or something? He just recently resigned. So they're showing that people are getting scared and everyone's lowering up, because it's obstruction of justice. Because he interfered with the FBI investigation, saying to stop the investigation of Flynn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming between law and and our
I know they were talking about him obstructing the justice, so that's a big problem.
Yeah, so he could get impeached on that. That is a impeachable offense.
If the Republicans
Yeah.
decide
Get on
to
board, yeah.
get on board, yeah.
Yeah, it would need
Members of the House of Representatives, the lower chamber of the Congress, can start the impeachment process. So they would have to do it.
So
Yeah.
Sam Harris podcast, they talked about this. I think the whole podcast is named impeachment process or something like that.
Yeah, with I haven't listened to it, but I think it's the newest one with Applebaum something.
Yeah, so I mean, he talks about it like, that you can see one of the people that he had on, that he had two guests on that episode, and one of the person that was speaking was saying that you can see people are getting scared and lowering up, and they're trying to, and then they were saying you'll see more people resigning in the future. I mean, you already have like I think one person that resigned, because if they stay on, then they got to keep answering to it, and they're just sinking themselves or playing a role in that collusion.
Right, but how weird is it that who cares if everyone quits and all that, right? I mean, it's scary, but what if the Republicans still decide not to do the right thing and impeach him, or just keep him because it keeps them in power?
It's got to be something really bad, I feel like, for them to impeach him. And even right now with all that Russia stuff, I feel like even though you could say he's somehow tied with like Russia, I don't think it'll be like treason like people think it will be.
Yeah, because some people are saying like if you see Paul Ryan, he's looking at that or going after punishing Flynn or getting Trump out of there, or passing the healthcare bill and the budget bill or the tax cuts. Those priorities are above impeaching someone that you can get. Everyone is like, to your point, it's keeping everyone in play because they want everyone has an agenda they're trying to pass. So the country is not going to come first. It's going to be those agendas that they have. Of course. Which sucks.
And then just recently, I think I heard about Jared Kushner, the son-in-law I don't know, they found quite a few links with the Russians.
Yeah.
Ambassadors, I think, that he's met with them a few times.
Yeah.
I don't know, during the election or maybe just as business.
During the election.
Yeah.
Didn't they say that he also he has ties with that Saudi deal, and is he getting like a kickback on making that deal?
I don't know.
I heard something like that too.
Don't think so.
I mean, it is
Wait, who's getting a kickback?
Kushner.
Well, sorry, I was doing
You're good.
a research about his dad actually. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought. But his dad was also somebody who went to federal prison.
Yeah, and you know who prosecuted him?
Yeah, what's
Chris
his face?
Christie.
Chris Christie.
That's
How crazy is that?
When the elections were over, he didn't get the job because of
they
Kushner.
played him so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what was happening. Like, everybody knows what happened to Chris Christie. He sold out, and then they fucked him over.
Yeah, they didn't give him anything.
Yeah.
And he still goes on and defends Trump.
What
He
did he
must
do?
have something on him. That's some
What did Chris
gangster
Christie
shit.
do?
He prosecuted Jared Kushner's father for some sort of like Wall Street scam.
Illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, and witness tampering. He even tampered with fucking witnesses. That's gangster as shit.
Yeah, so he went hard on him and prosecuted him to the highest level and sent his dad to jail. And Chris Christie during the election was one of the first or the second person to be vocally support Trump after he stopped running for president and endorse him. So he was trying to get a position into a seat somewhere. But when the elections were done, he didn't get a chair at any of the table because there were even articles of saying that there was a bunch of like feuds between Chris Christie and the thing, because I guess they were going back and forth. But obviously Kushner is his son-in-law for Trump, and I'm sure he advised him that if he works there, I'm not going to be here. And then we know that he loves his.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So they played him so bad, dude. It was hilarious.
House of Cards style.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is some. Jared Kushner's story is some House of Cards shit.
Yeah, it is.
Dude, I was just thinking, is House of Cards going to be this good?
Oh man,
With how
Yeah.
crazy reality is now.
Yeah, reality's pretty intense, especially with the family that's there now.
dude, what's the actor's name? His real name, not Frank's Underwood.
Yeah, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah,
Yep.
Kevin Spacey. He was on Colbert Report.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see. He was. I don't know. Did you guys watch it? He was talking about when they were making this season. He was like, "How can we make it more absurd and whatever?" And at this time when they were filming it, the election was happening or it has started. But he's like, so they were trying to even make it crazier this season. They were trying to like think outside the box. And he's like, kid you not, we had 6 scenarios in there that we wrote way before any of this is happening, but it is happening now. So a lot of you guys, when you watch it, you will say that we copied, the Trump story, but originally they had this stuff written way before this happened. So it just shows you that he was making fun of like that this current election cycle is more nuts than the show this year.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, or it's on par, because they tried to take it to another level.
Damn.
But that's pretty funny.
It's insane.
Kevin Spacey compares House of Cards to Donald Trump's presidency, but says they have better writers.
Yeah, yeah, he did say that. That was awesome.
That Trump's people have better.
Yeah,
Or
like-
just like I guess like
Yeah.
reality has better
better
writers.
writers.
Yeah,
Damn.
that was funny as shit.
Yeah.
Dude's in House of Cards, he obviously has a serious role, but like as a normal person, when you see that he's not acting, it seems like a very jolly, funny dude that's always trying to clown around.
I just can't see that though.
Yeah,
But I haven't
He's
seen him
he's
outside
really
of-
cool and he's really progressive too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you that I think it was 2 years ago, the Oscars, where he photobombs the Ellen, what's her name, Ellen
Ellen
DeGeneres,
DeGeneres.
the selfie, the famous selfie that she took in the Oscar. I think it was the first selfie.
Yeah, and then it went like really viral. I was thinking
Yeah.
about that the other day. It was a big deal back
Yeah,
then.
Kevin Spacey like photobombed in the back too. But like if you watch that Oscars, that's the first time that I saw him out of character, and he was just trolling the whole show. He was just being funny as hell. So
Quite
like,
bad, man.
I'm-
Great actor.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen his speech on content.
oh man,
So it's like
so good.
it's like 2-3 years ago.
I think we shared it, and I think we all.
Yeah,
watched
I
it,
think we
or-
watched it in our group. But basically, he like 2-3 years ago, before Netflix and all the streaming stuff, because it's still kind of new. He was talking about give people the content they want. He's like they're gonna go after it, and he had this amazing speech about content and all that stuff is going on today. He's like, who are these people in Hollywood and these suits and these middlemen? He's like, artists and creators have to get together, and people just want pure shit. And he was just kind of going against the in industry, and he's such a big member of that industry. It was just really cool. It was just like an honest talk about content, and just think about it. We're consuming shit all the time.
Yeah.
We always want to watch something, and to be honest, I kind of have to check myself sometimes because I always like to read something. I always like to hear some new information. It's almost like an addiction.
Yeah. When you talk about that, it is kind of strange, right? When you look at big Hollywood movies or even video games nowadays, when you have a publisher, the artist can't do what he wants because, what does the artist want? They're happy just making the money back that they spent making it. And so they can make more. But then you have people in suits that come in, they're like, no, we need to make 10 times more so I can get money. Like, how does that... It's so strange how they just come in and they have no other function but to make money off the project.
So can art and money work together? So I think that passion makes good art. And when you put money into it, you just dumb it down. You just kind of distill the art.
Absolutely.
I feel like the best art is always the purest art.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, a budget helps. It can make pure art even more amazing, For example, your game, maybe
Yeah.
if you had 10 times the budget,
Yeah.
you might have a game that's even better.
Yeah, with everything, you always need budget. No doubt. It always makes things, well, I wouldn't say always, but it makes things better. Or at least it helps you reach your
But when you
vision.
make the art to make money, I feel like let's say you were making your game not for passion,
Mhm.
but just to make money, I feel like it just wouldn't be as good.
No,
And
that's right.
and if you look at like some of the best pieces or works of art in the world, it's all works of passion. Like even religious paintings, or how like Nerdwriter goes over Picasso. It wasn't just like made to make money. It was made as a weird expression of self, or whatever they saw. And the money comes, it's great. But if you make it just for money, I just feel like you lose something. I don't know what it is. I think some kind of passion.
I think what you said, the first thing you said was the most important thing, that when you make it for money, essentially you are dumbing it down because now you need to reach the general public. You need to reach everyone, every single person of every single preference. So you have to dumb it down.
Or like the majority, you have to go over like the
Yeah.
most your art has to have like a ratio of the most amount of people that it can see and the amount you can dumb it down. You try to find like a formula for that.
Yeah, that like middle ground. I always think of
Yeah, the middle
Metal.
ground.
I always think of Metal Gear Solid 2 as a game which, like, on the surface, is something that anyone in the public, everyone will be into. It's like a spy movie. It's action, all that. Everyone would be into it. But then, if you look for the people that want to look deeper in, there's this crazy other message in there. But if that was at the forefront, like it was a philosophical game and it had no action and it was just about the message, nobody would play it. Because it would have a very niche crowd.
So when you do bring money into it, then you are making the product in mind of the general population. Whereas if there was no money involved, you would just make it your expression completely. But you're not. When you bring money into it, it's your expression. But like you want to keep it as vague as possible so it can apply to everyone.
Right, but so it has to be a balance.
So it's kind of like.
So Nerdwriter did this exact topic. He actually made like a video about this topic. And eventually, if you make art in like a structured way with money, it starts to repeat. And nowadays in like Hollywood, if you've seen the movie Logan or if you've seen Deadpool, art has made that structure so many times. So just like Metal Gear Solid 2, at one point, the guy making the art is like fucking with the art. He knows all the rules and he knows what you want.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what the audience wants. But even inside those rules, he makes art.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Like
I mean, that's
a Deadpool, for example.
exactly.
so yeah, that ties into the Metal Gear Solid example that he was saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I saw that video too, that Metal Gear Solid 2 video,
Yeah.
where Hideo Kojima basically was like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to make this crazy character.
right.
I'm going to have these crazy plot lines, and everyone's going to love it.
Yeah, and however, there are always exceptions, right? Like the Picasso piece. It's so freaking weird. Like anybody looks at it won't be like, whoa. You know, like most people would be like, whatever, you know, it won't connect with it. But people that have an appreciation for art, that's kind of like a niche crowd, right? And I always think of the game Journey.
Yeah.
Like that's such a strange game that it should have never been as successful as it was.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
it resonated.
Yeah, it resonated with, because I'm sure it sold millions of downloads. But at the same time, the company barely broke even because they spent like 5 years on it.
Yeah.
So they didn't really make any money off of the game other than just having been able to work on it and release it.
But they
So-
made one of the best art pieces that
Exactly.
anyone can
Yeah.
experience.
So is
endorse it.
Yeah.
It's on PS4.
And think about the
PS3.
risk, right? Think about the risk. You played it. How different is that? There's no combat. It's such a strange game. Like,
Yeah.
why would you make a game like that?
Completely
But
off
they took
structure.
that. But they took that risk.
Yeah.
So is money just like a byproduct of a good like project?
I wouldn't say necessarily good, but something that resonates with most people. You know, like Grand Theft Auto. That's one of the best sellers of all time. I think 80 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a crazy action game, and you can see why everyone would love it. It resonates with everyone. Journey would never sell 80 million, but
yeah.
you know, but it's a game that the people it resonates with resonates on such a level that you're like, this is the greatest experience ever.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think it is top 5 best experiences I ever had in my life, dude.
Yeah.
It's just can't say enough good things about that game.
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's only a 1 hour or
Have
2
you played it,
hours.
Shaz?
Yeah, I have.
What do you think?
I loved it. It had a really amazing message, and I still don't know what happened at the end. So
It's up for you to
All
kind
right.
of decide that. Too.
Yeah, I'm not
but,
gonna
but-
take off my headphones.
Um,
Well,
But-
even if he told you the ending, it
it's
it
what
wouldn't
you
take
make
anything.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of like up to you.
it's basically how you live your life. Your philosophies kind
Yeah.
of play into the way the game progresses. So you're answering your answers to yourself depending on your idea of life.
Yeah.
Versus everyone
I-
has a different idea, so the experience is different for everyone.
I remember the thoughts that I have when I was playing the game, and it's kind of just tying it back to what we were talking about earlier. When I was playing it, I was picturing. I think we talked about it before, where I was picturing myself to be like I'm inside my conscience. That's the way I was playing that game, and that character was, I, and I was just following where I was going. And there's parts in that game that are just so beautiful, where you're just in an endless, infinite sea of sand, and either direction you look, you don't know where to begin or where to go. So there was a point where I just sat down. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna just chill. I'm just gonna sit down here and just look around. And I was looking. I probably sat there and I was just I was just so
For hours.
just deeply like like indulged in this game that where I think I sat there for like 15, 20 minutes and it felt like I was there forever. And I was just sitting and just having these thoughts. And I'm like, I kind of felt like this is what life is. You know, you come to a moment where you're there, and once you've seen everything and done everything, the next thing is always progression. Okay, pick a area and go there. That we've sat here, we've done everything, we saw everything. Now it's time to move on.
You know what's amazing? Sorry, real quick. That journey does show progression in such a cool way that you just keep going up and up the mountain. You're just progressing. Like, it's a very good visual.
But
Right.
then you fall down at the end too before going back up.
Spoiler alert. But yeah. So like if you going back to our earlier conversation, talking about like how do you get aware? How do you become intelligent? It's every bit of those steps, figuring out it's time to take the next step. Now it's time to take the next step because
just existing.
yeah, it's just you don't know what's out there. But as soon as you go and you explore that and you conquer and you figure it out, then you figure out how to elevate.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt what that game was. There was so many beautiful things in the game, and I kind of was trying to tie that back into my life. Like, if you stay in your house and you do almost everything that's possible to do, you can get bored eventually, and you're gonna say, okay, I've seen everything and done everything. Then now you're gonna step out that door. Now you have this big playground which you call Earth, and now you have not infinite, but you have so many options to go out and explore. And whatever you explore, you might like it, you might hate it, you might die from it, you might live, and then you won't know until you open that door and step out. And then once you figure that out, then you take the next, you keep going in life, and that's where like learning kind of comes into it too, because the more you keep taking those steps and you figure out that learning helps you take even more steps. Because I mean, if you want to take the next step, you need to learn. You need to learn that scenario of that room, or in Journey's case, that area in that map. You need to learn where you are at, and learn, how you can survive in it and move forward.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing every day.
Yeah, that's a really good interpretation.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a different one, but I see your side too.
Yeah.
So, which is the most beautiful thing about this game, because I'm playing it and then I feel like I almost saw it similar to kind of Samsara, the movie.
Mm-hmm.
When I see all the sand and then you see that the city is below it and now it's gone.
Yeah.
And then it just looks like a world. And just kind of the thought that keeps coming to mind is that that's what's going to happen to Earth as well. And every civilization, no matter how high it rises,
Right.
it's going to be under the sand or under the water, or it's going to be gone one day. And then it looks like my character is starting, it's like the last conscious being or one of them.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get to the mountain to like restart life somehow or something, to kickstart life again.
Oh, I didn't see it as you need to go to the mountain to restart it. It was more of understanding where I came from.
Yeah.
Because
I just came to a full circle. That's all.
Yeah. So I was playing. The whole game I changed the narrative saying that I'm inside my conscience.
Mm-hmm.
So that mountain was the answer that I was looking for in life, and I had to, take the courage and go there. And like once you're on the way, obviously the game's called Journey, so you go through these emotional roller coasters of, you and your past, and now you're here, and then that's your future goal. The answers are up there, and then you see the story, the story of the ancient civilization.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, this is the, these are like the people that, because of them, I'm here. So these are your ancestors, your family, every, person that pushed us to get to this point. So we're all connected, we're all rooted, and I just got to go up here and figure out why.
Yeah. So I think I think that's kind of what I thought too.
Yeah.
So the answers are there, like the knowledge is there. So once you complete the journey, you have the knowledge, but I don't know what you thought it was for, but I thought it was to restart civilization and learn from your mistakes, see what they did wrong. Because it looked like they created war machines, right?
Right.
And that destroyed everything. And I don't know, I felt like it was some knowledge that he needed to learn, like hey, like we created like over here nuclear bombs.
Right.
So how do we learn from this? And if we destroy civilization because of nuclear bombs, maybe there might be an entity on Earth, maybe the last human, and he has to learn all that. Like, this is what happened.
Right.
And he has to pass that knowledge on that we must not repeat this mistake again.
So mine was different. So that's pretty cool.
Oh,
No, your interpretation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but mine was that since it wasn't this was a particular. So like I felt like I was playing it for a particular reason and time in my life within the game, right?
Yeah.
So when I was going up there, what the game taught me was you don't have to keep going. You can just stop and sit here forever, right? But eventually, like I was saying earlier, you're gonna figure out that you've seen everything and done everything. If it's not now, if it's not in 10 years, you are gonna move forward. So that mountain represents like the end goal and how fast am I trying to get there?
Yeah.
Or am I trying to get there? And as you're trying to play the game, you go through these ups and downs, and then there's parts where you're afraid to move forward, because you're like maybe it's not worth, or the end doesn't justify the mean. But once you get to the end and you make it there, you come to, like almost like heaven, right? So you came here, you lived, you did the journey that I was on, and like I was just contemplating with my own thoughts and ideas. I learned so much about myself, and that was the journey. So this game's mission is over. It got me what I needed for that game, and if I wanna get something else out of this game, come back. It starts all over again.
Yeah.
So there's different. I mean, you play that game for a reason, from my perspective, and if you want to go experience your inner self, a different side of you, that game is always there for you to go explore.
Yeah, because remember at the beginning you see like that shooting star, which looks like that's you.
Yeah.
Just restarting another cycle again.
Yeah. So I felt like anytime you want to journey life, just come back.
Yeah.
And then you learn something about yourself doing it again.
Yeah, and it's made by I think either a Japanese or a person of Chinese descent.
Right.
So they have that mythology of rebirth. Like that's a big thing, right?
And when you make it to the goal is the most, like my lips, my cheeks were so pushed back. I was just had a big smile on my face.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I walked into heaven. I walked, I understand my purpose now. I get the message. Like the message of that game was just, can't even describe it because it was just all emotions,
Yeah.
because I had like headphones on and the music was just beautiful. The feeling, like it was not being expressed through words, but like visuals, music, and just pure emotions that I can't even describe what I felt.
Yeah.
It's like almost like going to, if I could imagine heaven, it would be that experience of that ending of that game that I felt.
Yeah.
I'm probably putting it at a high pedestal. What is it called? Pedestal, right? people gotta play like, what the fuck was he talking about?
And I remember so the guy who made the game, Genova Chen, that's his name. And I remember him talking about what made him make this game, and it was a conversation that he had with an astronaut.
Yeah.
Who said that when he went out into outer space and looked back at Earth, he believed there was a God, like in that moment.
Damn.
He's like, it was so beautiful, I just kind of couldn't explain the beauty. I'm like, there is a God. Oh. And when he was talking to Genova Chen, he's like, man, that was the way you explained it to him, and that whole thought, just he wanted to create that experience in a game and get people to think that way at the end, like just be in awe of everything.
Right. I remember when I beat that game, the next day I called my sister to tell her my experience. I'm like, dude, you just got to go play this game. She hasn't done it yet, but the one of the other best parts was that the thing that I learned was, the understanding of light versus darkness. I know I've told you guys before, but it's just like in that game, there's a scene where you're being chased by this scary looking monster, and it's chasing you down. As soon as you're running away from him, you see in the far distance, like a ray of light, and you just run towards that direction. As soon as you step inside that light, this enemy that's trying to get you cannot enter it because it's made out of it's darkness. Mm-hmm. So this light protects you, and like I don't know, that just resonated with me since that day, and I still like think about this all the time. I just view life, or like I just view like life that it's just lightness versus darkness, and lightness is knowledge, wisdom, entitlement. Not entitlement, enlightenment. And the more knowledge you are, easily you can beat darkness, and then you can use that to your advantage and survive.
But only so as long, right? Because
Yeah.
darkness always wins in the end.
Yeah. So my analogy that I understood when I was playing the game was, is like if you're inside a empty room and you have a flashlight, your light is powered by battery, and so like as soon as you turn it on, you can defeat darkness in any direction you point the light.
Because
soon as
light
the-
is information, light is truth.
Yeah. So like when once we cannot see something, we cannot survive in it. So if I just walk into an empty room that has like death traps set up all over it, I'm more than likely gonna die because I don't know where I'm going into.
Yeah.
But once I figure out how to create fire, create that as a tool, and
Yeah.
manipulate that with the surrounding, now I can survive.
Yeah.
So the universe also behaves in that same
Right.
way, I guess.
Yeah. And I think we talked about that last time too, with like the whole entropy thing. And
Yeah.
now I kind of, thinking about it more, I think of light and darkness on a differently now, even more. I think of light as simply being awareness, because you can have all the stars and all the energy in the world,
Mhm.
but if something is not aware of it, then everything is dark, right? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if
yeah,
you could have all the planets, everything, but you could be not aware of anything, so you would just be blind.
So, like-
So for me, ultimate light, like, would be awareness. Without awareness, everything is
Right.
dark.
Wow.
right. So that's where you gotta. It's a spectrum, right? So it's a spectrum of light. So you gotta keep moving forward, and the more higher in light you go, the more you can see, or in terms of the truth in
Yeah.
reality.
So maybe at the bottom, the smallest glimmer of light is like some kind of awareness, like
Yeah.
an ant.
And then you
Then
push
you
your
get
way
to
forward.
humans, which is like self-awareness.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's like a super universal awareness all the way at the top where
Yeah.
you're aware of every single thing, which would be a god.
What about a
Yeah.
bat? It doesn't even use it. It literally sees in the dark and it picks up completely different information. It doesn't even use light.
Like the
Picks
whole
up thermal.
echolocation thing it does, right?
Yeah,
So it
But
sends out
but
sonar.
that's still information.
that's
so
information.
so was it? It doesn't have to be actual light. Like
yeah, I'm
light
just going
being
against
knowledge.
that analogy.
Yeah.
No, light being knowledge. So then, if they can't see, then the sound waves will be their intelligence.
So
and
as long
knowledge.
as you're getting an equals and you're getting an answer after your question, then that's light. That's information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
if
for
you're getting
this,
an equal equals
yeah.
0, then you're not self-aware.
because like for the survival of a bat, that's amazing. It takes all the clutter out. It just focuses on what it needs to survive.
But isn't that what our body does as well? It takes
Yeah.
out all the unnecessary information.
Which is why, are we really seeing the true picture?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we've talked about this before. Our awareness is only there just so we can survive.
Right.
That's what it's all about. So from the beginning, it's been tailored for that experience.
Yeah. If you're not aware, do the stars still exist? Like,
So is life like a roller coaster?
Who
You're
knows?
just sitting in this ride and you're just going and you're just viewing it more than
I mean-
choosing what direction the ride goes.
I mean, who knows? Imagine if the universe has like on a scale of 0 to infinity amount of awareness, and we're
Yeah.
not even. What if we're not even at 1, and there's a level up to
Yeah.
infinity? You know what I mean? Like, what
That's
if the
beautiful.
universe is so complex, like they talk about in cosmic horror, like Lovecraft used to write about? Like, there's this next layer of truth, which is so far for our minds that once we capture the information,
yeah.
we go crazy. Nothing makes sense anymore. It's such a crazy truth
Yeah.
that it just destroys our minds and people go crazy, and like that's what he
Yeah.
wrote about. People just go nuts. They can't handle the truth. It's not because it's so
It's so complex that
It's
you're.
so complex.
Yeah.
It's horrific. It becomes
Yeah.
horror. Like that's how crazy it gets.
So like I like to like think a lot about like naturally is the universe more not dark and light. Yeah. Is it more evil? Is it naturally more evil, or is it naturally good? Like if the universe is we can say there's no free will, it's all probability and so forth. But then if you can say that, then everything's infinite, then it's equally both.
Yeah, I would say neither.
But
Right? Evil nor good. It just doesn't care. It just is.
I think it would be the state of the environment. Depending
So-
on the way the environment is, which way we're going to go. So if we're in a more positive environment, we're going to go more towards being good. If you're in a more negative environment, you're gonna go towards being
but
evil.
what is good? Like from your perspective,
Yeah.
good is anything that lets you survive. You think that's good. Anything that doesn't let you survive, you think that's evil. So even good and evil, it's a human concept.
No, but no,
You're
it's
creating its
no,
parameters.
it's more deeper than that. Like good and evil would be that if you're presented with the scenario, it's not only your survival, but are you
Your
sometimes
survival and theirs.
yeah, like because what's the one guest that we had that you brought on
Armand.
yeah.
Armand.
Where he talked about like the philosophy he was talking about with Nietzsche, I think,
Yeah.
like why are people willing to die for the greater good or be hungry? So I think there will be moments like that in the universe where
yeah. No, but I agree. But isn't that still a human perspective? That you're saying that somebody willing to, like, if I'm willing to die for Shaz in war,
yeah.
you're saying that's good. The universe doesn't care. You know, so
But
if we're
you-
talking
you-
about
you-
the universe, it's not good or evil. It doesn't care what you do in that situation. It's not gonna be like, all right, you were honorable, so you're good, and this guy killed that innocent person, he's evil. The universe doesn't give a damn, right? There's no reason for it to.
It definitely doesn't give a damn about us.
Yeah.
Because if it did, then the whole universe will be more, what's the word? Habitable. What is
Yeah,
it?
habitable,
Yeah.
hospitable to
To
humans,
human
perhaps.
life, but it doesn't cater human life, or
Oh,
at least
definitely.
Earth-based life forms. It doesn't
Yeah.
cater that anywhere in the universe besides only maybe just here,
Yeah.
maybe a few other areas. But that's proof enough the universe doesn't care about us,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they call it like a cosmic pinball machine
Right.
with the amount of rocks flying around.
So I guess, yeah, universe doesn't care, but so like we, being the observer, can observe the decision the universe is making,
Mhm.
and based on that, is it more darker or is it more good in a human narrative, let's say. So obviously it's really dark, right?
Yeah.
So the only way you can defeat it then is to shine light on it, and that's discovering, understanding it, and manipulating it for your own greater good, I guess.
Right.
But then now you're being evil.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you know, usually we think about, or at least right now, let's think of the Earth as the universe, for instance. So whenever we say that, you know what, forget us, we don't even want to be selfish.
Yeah.
Forget about us. We got to protect the Earth. We want to protect the universe. And the universe doesn't even care about it.
Yeah.
But we're like trying to protect it and be, you know, keep it going.
Well, it has to care about it a little bit. It is it.
Yeah, if you see anything in the everything in the
Earth
universe,
is a part of the universe.
everything in the universe is a reaction and is trying to survive, if you will. You know, it's there for a very short moment of time, and it's constantly, interacting with other energies or molecules or elements, whatever. And
But
then,
what if it's not? What if there's an infinite other universes that just die right away and we're the only one that survives?
right?
Would you still say that the universe intends for survival? What if it's not intentional? What if we just think, the universe, all it wants to do is survive? What if we just live in the one?
complex, right?
Yeah. If it wouldn't, be, if
It seems like it, right?
Yeah, it wants
That's
to get
a one
more
pattern.
complex. So as far as we know, we're the best thing the universe has ever made, as far as we know.
I guess in this universe, we can definitely say, right, that that's intended, that the universe is definitely trying to get more and more complex.
Yeah, or there's definitely a pattern towards it.
Yeah, because we can see from the beginning there was disorder, and now things are just
So,
getting super ordered. And
this is
getting
where it gets
complex.
confusing for me, because where do you like? I see the universe in a box that's the codes, right? So the codes have already decided what the universe is gonna be and how complex it is and how complex it can be. So if the codes that create the laws of nature and everything, that I think comes first, right? Then the universe comes.
Mm-hmm.
So if the universe comes after the codes, then the universe is surviving within the codes that allow it to exist. So then I feel like it is trying to survive,
Yeah.
because in order to be it needs to get more complex and and just work the mathematics or the laws of nature that allow the universe to be. The more it understands it, the more it can create and structure itself and balance.
Yeah. Right. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Like Hasban was saying, we can observe that it's been getting more complex, but what if that's our observation?
Yeah.
What if there's an observation beyond that we can't see yet?
Yeah, like instead of getting more complex, it's actually dying somehow, but we can't see that pattern.
Yeah.
to
And what if it's trying to
establish
get to
that.
that point? It wants to be in a point where it's not self-aware. Let's just say, for example, I don't know.
I feel
Something
like it
completely
does.
different.
Well, though I do currently believe with the information I have that it wants to be more complex,
Yeah.
and eventually, if artificial intelligence can become, or robots have artificial intelligence, and we can control things on the molecular level, so you can manipulate atoms how you want.
Yeah.
Then the universe is actually doing that, right? Because the
Yes.
robot is part of the universe.
Right.
So the universe can actually manipulate itself to a
Yeah.
level that it never can if we get to that power. So that would be crazy. That would be the universe
So
basically controlling itself, literally having
Yeah.
because right now in some ways it doesn't have control.
yeah.
like,
So
Atoms
it's
are bound by what they do. For example, we can't we can't even control them.
so the universe. Let's say if we do figure out a time machine, it can go back to its own birth. Let's just say,
Mhm.
so it manipulated itself to create something within itself to create a time machine that goes back before it was born.
Well, in my
Paradox.
scenario, in this scenario I was talking about, I don't think it would be able to move through. Well, I guess it could.
I
'cause
mean,
it
I'm
would
just saying,
be-
if you could go back in time, because
Yeah.
if you go, let's just say theoretically, obviously, right? So like, if you could go back to the start of time, you are the universe going before your own birth.
Well, what I was talking about
You know,
specifically.
How
Go on.
crazy would that be? If it
That's-
was able to do that,
yeah.
then you could have control before you ever had control.
Yeah,
So what if you could control your birth?
yeah.
You
So
know?
you come back before, because I mean, let's just say if you go just like you right now, you
Yeah.
go to the beginning, you are the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're part of it. It created you. So
Like I'm picturing myself
Yeah.
as a universe,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
how-
reached a stage, say in 1,000 years, where I could do all these scientific modifications
Yeah.
to myself. Now I create a time machine. I go back before I'm born. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna be 7 foot tall.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have green colored eyes or whatever,
yeah,
and I change all that, and I come to the world as I wanted
yeah,
or whatever,
Lopez.
modified.
yeah.
Brooke Lopez.
Well, yeah. So
Robin Lopez.
So yeah, so in that same example, if you go back to the start of the universe and you change things to cater being
Yeah.
7 foot tall universe versus
Yeah.
so you can manipulate that to be a universe that you want it to be.
So now is that another universe? Because what happened to the universe that's going on that other line?
It's a different timeline, I guess.
So I
Right?
just created two of myself, and they're
Yeah.
both God.
Yeah,
I created another God in my own image.
dude, this is where like Rick and Morty is the best when
Yeah.
they play with this idea. It's the
Yeah.
coolest shit in the world.
This sounds like a Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah. Oh man.
But
This-
that thing Hasban was saying about control is
Mhm.
pretty interesting.
Well, what I was saying is like, okay, so right now we have control at like a certain level, right? But we're not at we're not at the level of the atom yet. We
right.
can't
Right.
control individual atoms, and like I can't just form that chair by putting a bunch of atoms together in a certain way and making the chair.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can't just put atoms in a certain way to make a human.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could make a human
What
though.
about vat farming?
That you're doing a process, and you are making something grow. But are you controlling it atom by atom?
No,
No.
No.
no, you're not. But
You
to-
just-
but
Well,
to-
yeah. But when a seed grows, you're not controlling that atom by atom. You're just.
Yeah, because you're setting the right environment for it to
Yeah.
nurture.
What
Well, let's
about,
just say you could just
and
make
grow.
that heart because you can construct things atom by
Yeah.
atom.
isn't that what
That'd be
CRISPR is gonna allow?
No, that's gene.
Well,
That's still not at the
that's
level
gene
of the
editing.
atom.
yeah.
It's still bigger than
That's
the atom.
genetic, yeah.
Yeah, that's gene editing.
But you know
Which is
that whole
molecules.
that whole control thing that you're saying is really interesting, because if you think of the universe in that way, then you can almost say that just like if we are the embodiment of the universe, then we also don't have control, right, of things by the atom. What? So if the universe is trying to get to that point,
We
It's trying
can manipulate a universe in some ways.
Yes.
There's just like a level of it we can do.
right? But we are still just like the universe and us. Even if we were to grow something, we are still bound by some outside variables, right? Which kind of take their course, and a thing grows in that specific way.
Yeah. So obviously the laws of nature will always be the same. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying, how much control could you have within those constraints?
Yes. So what if the
The
universe?
maximum level.
Right. So what if the universe is tending towards having absolute control over itself, right?
Yeah. That's what
Yeah.
artificial intelligence with nanotechnology. Artificial intelligence combined with nanotechnology. That's where you go to. You could literally. So let's say if your blood cells need repairing, you could go to the nano level and
Mhm.
repair your blood cells. You can
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
have a fight with cancer with things that you programmed.
Mhm.
And if you have artificial intelligence on top of that, that is an artificial intelligent creature that's
Yeah.
as small as an atom.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's going out for war, to do war for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And then
annoying.
if that becomes the most intelligent thing, it can construct itself or whatever. It can
Yeah.
do. I mean, the possibilities are like endless.
Then it's like
Yeah.
you bring like an army now to a micro scale. Like you're buying like a navy that goes to the blood. Then you have antibodies that are your soldiers, and you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
like
nuts.
a war in your body. All right,
I mean, what could you do to stop
attack.
it? What could you do
this
to
invader.
stop a nanotechnology with artificial intelligence?
You can't think of anything.
Yeah, humans are fucked. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not even close.
Yeah.
You know, they even talk about this type of atom level building out in space. That at one point you'll be able to create planets. You know,
Yeah.
you would become the universe,
Yeah.
and you just
Yeah, that's
create
what I meant.
planets and stars. Yeah.
That's exactly what I meant. So if you could do things atom by atom,
Yeah.
Your God.
yeah, you basically are as close to God as you can.
And is
you-
that what the universe wanted all along?
Someone
Get to
to create it.
control itself, control every asset of
Wow.
itself.
So through us, it's gaining control of its own
Yeah,
self.
just like nanotech, you would have control
I mean-
possibly over everything if you had a smartphone that control all the
So
nanotech.
what are the benefits of controlling things? So like if you look at your life, if you have your life under control, you are allowed to survive.
Yeah,
As soon as you lose control of your psyche or your physical aspect, the more likely and you lose, the more odds of you surviving go down. So
Mhm.
maybe the universe understands that, and
yeah,
the more complex it gets, then it decides to
So-
control its environment, control its surrounding, control itself. And
Yeah.
the more you can do that, then that means more power to you, right?
So what would it want to do? Like stop the stars from dying, stop entropy somehow, control that property so that the lights never go out, that it can live forever.
So I mean, it would be entropy in that sense, right? Like entropy, like for
Yeah.
us, is age. You know,
Yeah.
like like aging for us, like it's always gonna. Well, that's a bad analogy, but
Well,
Right.
I've got a good one.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be this is gonna be a spoiler for 12 Monkeys, this TV show I watch. It's about time, and there's this higher dimensional race which wants to live forever and stop entropy. And you know what its answer is? To destroy time, stop time from existing. Because if there's no
And
time,
nothing can happen.
nothing can happen, and you're forever then in that state. So
That's a weird way to be forever, though.
yeah, but I don't know. That's something.
For time.
Damn.
But are you really existing if you stop time?
How the fuck?
Because then
did
you stop existing, don't you?
I don't know. Apparently, if you
I guess what they're
I don't
trying
know,
to.
man, this is it's
To
pretty
exist,
crazy.
time
So-
has to be relevant.
No, yeah. So for them, maybe there's infinite amount of clocks, but there is one infinite true clock that they're trying to destroy, maybe. And by destroying,
If there's
that,
any clocks going, then you can cease to exist.
yeah, it's. I don't know how they
To
would
be
destroy
infinite,
time.
all clocks would have to actually still be running for you to be infinite. So they need a different solution. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know.
'Cause
I'll
you
let you know what happens.
you should call them up.
Because you can't have space without time.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So
space time.
So if
So-
if you destroy time, you destroy both space as well.
So would the
Yeah.
would the parameter for
Maybe
a
they're
universe?
just conscious.
So would the parameter for
They
a
don't need
universe?
space.
But you need space and time to be conscious. Sorry, Shaz, go ahead.
So for a parameter for the universe to keep existing, would it want to keep growing?
It would, but
So
hold on.
no big bounce or whatever that was.
I guess. Well, I think Ali already posted. We don't talk about the big bounce anymore.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been proven false.
Oops.
Yeah.
Now we talk about big baller brand.
Lonzo.
Lonzo.
Shout out to Lonzo.
Wait, so going back to why are we so certain that
Guy's
you need
ridiculous.
that you need space time to be conscious? What if consciousness can exist before space time?
So in order to be conscious, it's got to be something, right?
For it to be
So-
conscious, it had to have happened.
It's a paradox. You can keep going
No.
back and forth.
Like,
You can go in
no.
a circle, sort of.
So what makes consciousness? We talked about being aware is one of the things, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not aware of anything, then how are you conscious, right? So if there's no space and time, you need a space to have objects, and then you need to have time
to
like,
interpret them.
Yeah. So like if you have a dot that you see, and that's the only thing that you've seen for a million years, and all of a sudden it moves to the right, and if you're aware of that it's moving, then you can say it took some time to move. Without time, it cannot move. Otherwise, everything will just be still.
Time is what allows things to be.
Yeah, so you
to
could
happen.
have space, but if nothing moves, then you're not aware of anything.
Furthermore, now let's say if I had a spark in front of you, you know, I let out a firework. If you can't see it come to fruition, you can't react to it, because to react to it, you would need time.
Well, I would say that you can be. I don't think we can be that certain that what if you have to be aware first to have space time? Like imagine being in like a isolation tank and imagine there is nothing, no senses, nothing, only
Right.
thought. Could you
Right.
possibly have just thought and then from that thought came space time?
But your brain is made in space time, so you have your neurons that exchange information to create your consciousness, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they're transferring information through space time. You yourself have never seen your brain.
Right, right.
You yourself never have seen your
yeah, yeah.
So it's the same way.
But
So-
I'm trying to get like, what if we get away from all the physical parts of it? Just as a thought experiment, what if we can have some sort of awareness without brains? You know, just pure thought, like this pure thought just moving around darkness. You know, there's nothing else, just floating around.
So where do you start and where do you end? Like where?
Nowhere. There is no beginning nor end.
So you're everything, every infinite amount of positions of your consciousness, space time.
Like a quantum
You know what I
computer.
mean?
Yeah.
Because you can be if you are just conscious, completely conscious, like whatever you think of, you're it, right?
But like, yeah, I guess. But I'm also thinking that space time is a linear sort of thing, right? So we think of time only moving forward, never backwards. So
Right.
space time is something kind of like you move forward in space, time moves forward with it, and that it's all together. But what if there is something beyond that? You know, like we don't know what happened. What was there before space time? What if there was some awareness? You know, something that gave birth to space time. I don't know, but I don't know. Now it's getting all pseudo-sciencey, but
No,
it's fun
I'm trying to put it together, but I can't see consciousness coming first. Or maybe no, that's fuck, man, it's fucking with me. Cause if it no, damn, it's a tough one.
You just checkmated yourself.
No, because I'm going. Yeah, I'm having a lot of thoughts, but I'm not talking about them. But what I see is, the first elements that came together, or even the God particle coming to existence. Something had to happen for it in order to happen, right? Or we just can't explain it. And it is what it is.
mm-hmm.
But something had to cause it to come into existence.
Yeah.
So something had to be aware to clap, your hands to come into existence, if you will.
Yeah.
So something had to do that part. So
Right.
to your point, something became aware for a fraction of whatever, and within his awareness, it could be a blink of an eye for that thing or being or entity, but for us, it's 13.5 billion years.
Yeah. Right.
So in that sense, maybe awareness does come first. That's
Who
fucking
knows?
weird, dude.
Like when we think about matter versus antimatter particle, right?
Yeah.
So that battle happened for like ever until there was an extra matter particle for an antimatter particle. It was a glitch, right?
Right.
And then we have all this emerge out of it.
That's
What caused that glitch?
I learned something like, at least I learned a beautiful question today. Like,
Yeah.
it's just cool. I'm just seeing so many flashes. It could play out either way. It just
Yeah.
depends on how you understand the current.
Yeah, because to your point, so if there is that thing that was aware for that split second, that thing might exist in a space time, but then there might be an awareness behind that in
Yeah.
a space time.
Exactly.
So it's like turtles all the way down. You can keep going down.
Yeah.
There's just layers and layers, and that's where your brain just melts, and you're like, our brains can compute this
Yeah. It
because
fried.
we need a beginning and an end. Like I can't comprehend not having a
Yeah.
beginning or an end. Like a circle, it just keeps going around and around.
Yeah.
How does I can understand the concept, but
Or
where's
like,
the beginning? Where's the end?
or-
Even then,
or like quantum entanglement. Like once you figured out a situation, so it's like that Schrodinger's cat, whatever.
yeah.
So the universe has two possibilities, as I say in our example. One, it is that it was aware and it created space-time, or space-time was there first to allow awareness to be in it. As soon as you understand one of them, then you automatically confirm the other one as well.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just both.
Right. Who knows?
And we're one of it.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah. Dude, like the other week when I was saying I had this crazy vision. it was me and my wife. We were just sitting outside, and we were talking about like we were just talking about things like some, you know, we've been together for over 10 years, and then we just talk about the past and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And then scenarios came up where we're just asking each other self questions, and we're talking about the past. And then I had this crazy visual of like, you know, I was just trying to give her some advice too and stuff like that. So I was just saying like, you know, you can't live in the past. And then when I was trying to tell her that, like, if you live in the past and you can't move forward, then I'm like, maybe that's why the past exists, is because if you your whole life, every second goes back, you create a past of yourself, right? I'm sorry, let me just finish.
No, go for it.
So that you finish, you know, each second that passes, you know, a past gets created of you, and then you might come into a situation in life that you face either a greatest, oh, actually, in this case, it'll be, you face a scenario that's really tough or challenging or is life changing, right? And you do something and you're not happy, whatever the scenario may be, but that past can probably haunt you. And what life is maybe is that the reason the past exists is it's always there to remind you of, you know, both the ups and downs in life. And once you understand from it, then you can truly move forward.
Yeah.
Otherwise you can. And if you don't understand it, then you're always going to be haunted by your past, and you're going to live in the past,
Right.
and you're not going to move forward in life. So it could be some sort of, so then I had this crazy vision of, you know, I always picture myself when I think about the past or going backwards. I always picture infinite me of just being like a paintbrush just going back, and there's my whole life behind me. And the reason it's there is because as I'm moving forward in the world, I'm learning from my mistakes, and the parts that I fall down the hardest are the ones that I should remember the most, because those are the ones that could hold me back from going forward. Those are the things that could, you know, either destroy me or put an end to all of it. So in order to get back up is to fully understand the situation, and then, you know, look at it from a cosmic perspective, and then you can take the step forward, and then slowly the past will disappear.
Yeah.
I think the past exists because you need, I believe the whole universe, everything's in pairs. You need something to relate to for it to exist. So the past exists so you know you're in the present, you know, because you can relate, okay, I did this before and I am here now. I would not know if I'm here now if I didn't know how I got there.
Well, I mean, simply as a survival tool, it's vital too, because like you said, you tend to remember the things that hurt you or put you in trouble, you know, more than the good times.
Right.
Because your brain can use that more, and you can use that to survive in the future.
Right.
You know, if you're going to get burned by something really hot, it's pretty important to remember that.
Yeah.
If you get, you know, maybe chased down by a tiger at some spot, that's something to really have etched into your memory, because it helps you survive.
What if the past is just a bunch of past human experiences all built into you of things that have happened to you in the past?
So you're saying your memories aren't your own?
Yeah.
I mean, sure.
And like maybe I
Bit
never
crazy,
even
right?
even burned myself, but I have this.
No, I think it would be just
Well,
to you. I mean, what you're trying to say, I think it would be like a baton of knowledge that every step that you've taken and fallen down from, and you learn, you pass that knowledge on to someone else. Hey, don't keep, you know, going edge off that cliff. You're gonna fall and die. You know, you know, falling down hurts. You know, so in that way, we are a collective bodies of information that have been passing knowledge from, you know, some from our very first life forms here on Earth.
Yeah, that's right. Because you can look at instincts and you can think of them similarly. Like there must have been a point, if you go millions of years ago, even before maybe we were humans, there must have been some animal that we eventually evolved from, which might have touched something that was hot and not had a reaction to it and died.
Yeah.
But we needed that. So that's an instinct that's now built into you. So that's in a sense a memory, sort of memory, that, you know, this is hot, or, you know, all these little instincts that we have and a lot of animals have. So that's a memory that's been passed down for who knows how long.
I think.
Well, the past lives in your brain then. That's what you're saying. It literally lives in your brain and it guides your actions.
Yeah.
And that's what really, like, emotions are.
Yeah.
They're your experiences of the past.
Right.
And then you react in the current time based on those
Yeah.
neurons firing.
And
Yep.
people that flourish in life are the ones that can understand their past the best. I would say, like to reach true enlightenment, right? To like or to reach a higher purpose, or to become an overall good human being. I guess if you would say, is understanding all different aspects of it, and tying your past to the future. I mean, it's not only looking at the bad and the fear. It's also you also have your good memories to be hopeful to live forward. Because I mean, you need the good memories just as much as you need the bad ones, because the good ones give you the sense of hope in the future
Sure.
and prosperity. And then the fear kind of guides you to learn from it and get to that goal. So you
Right.
got to use both of these tools to your advantage. That's the only way to move forward in
Yeah.
life.
But it's strange how the brain works.
Yeah.
Say you have a lot of good memories of a similar experience, right? They all get grouped into one, and now it all blurs, and
Yeah.
it no longer stands out. Same thing with bad memories. If you have ones of a similar nature, they might all get grouped together, and you only have one of those, because the brain likes to form folders in a way, or like patterns, and put things in different groups. So
Sometimes it makes
yeah.
up things.
That's like
Awesome,
going to
yeah.
a restaurant, right? You go to this restaurant 10 times, but you have one bad experience. You never go back.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like
you forget all the good times.
every time I think about phobias, like how some people are scared of spiders, or some people are just scared of the water. I always think that I think there's research to back this up now too. That basically an ancestor of mine, there's somewhere in my gene pool, somebody had some kind of incident that happened to them that was traumatic.
Yeah,
That maybe they almost drowned, or they got bit by a snake, and these fears still stay in us, in our genes, and they
Yeah.
manifest in weird ways in our
Absolutely.
current predicament.
They believe that
Yeah.
that's to wait for you to survive and evolve. You need to have this information in you.
Yeah, but
So it edits it into
but
you.
some are like a glitch, obviously, because I mean, at that time maybe you had a reason to be scared of the water, but now you're just in a pool.
yeah.
But that fear is still there,
Yeah. That reminds me of the whole fat thing, right? Where in the past, when we were living in the jungles and all that, we needed all that. So sugar was good for us, so our body stored it,
Yeah.
and it turned into fat, and that was good because we didn't know where our next meal would come.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have so much food, we can eat so often that
Yeah.
it's not a good thing. We don't want it to be stored.
Like all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because for them it'd be stored for a while, and then they
Yeah.
would probably have to fast because they don't know when their next meal is going to be.
Yep.
But
They're working really hard to figure out how to get rid of fat cells, so then
Yeah.
we don't have to store any of this shit, and you can just eat whenever you
Yeah.
want, how much you want.
It's crazy.
That'd be the day, man, with no consequences. You can
Yeah.
just take down whatever you want.
Yeah, that just sounds like a bad society. I feel like that's gonna have other negative implications.
Well, you just have to
And
have
resources. Yeah.
you just have to have the chemical bonds between fat break. Right? So I saw a video about how fat actually leaves you. And I think there's two ways. One is when you sweat, and one is through a urine. Basically, fat is just carbon and oxygen and hydrogen. I think so. It's H2O and then carbon.
So that's the
basically,
two way it gets released out of your
yeah.
body.
So that's the only way you can. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's technology now to take out fat.
Yeah, you just freeze it, or
Yeah.
there's that one, or you
You
just
scoop it out with a spoon.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
Or
seen
you-
that one. Something about scooping it out. Like you-
Liposuction, bro.
And isn't fat like one of the most efficient energy forms in a way? I might be wrong, but I've
Efficient in which way?
efficient in the sense that our body can very easily use it if we're not eating a lot of carbs.
Have you ever seen 5 pounds of muscle and 5 pounds of fat?
Yeah,
So 5 pounds of muscle is like so small and
Right.
dense, and 5 pounds of fat is like huge.
yeah,
So I guess in that way, it's pretty efficient to be
yeah,
that much of it.
yeah. But except when you eat a lot of carbs, that insulin spike, apparently it doesn't allow the body to get to that fat deposit. It like restricts it, and then your body's like, oh, I'm hungry again, even though you have all those fat deposits because you just had all those carbs.
Yeah,
And
that's a problem I have. If I have I was just telling like Ali that if I eat too many carbs, I'm hungry like every 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, because you have the energy there, but I mean, it can't get to the fat deposit. It's such a weird thing the way our body works.
That's why a low carb diet is usually so successful.
Well, it also makes sense that our bodies are adapted to not eating all the time. I mean, modern
Yeah,
agriculture we know it's about like 100 years old. I mean, there's no way we were feeding this many people before, and there's no way that we were eating 3 times a day or
No.
4 times a day or snacking.
Right.
nope.
What's funny is like what you guys are talking about, like kind of like in the last podcast we talked about Neil deGrasse Tyson's lecture, where he talks talking about intelligent design, and everything that we're talking about right now just talks about all the faults in the human body system that are just so inconvenient. That if someone was intelligent design that was designing this, why would it have so many flaws into the?
I don't see that as a flaw though. I just see that as like, you know,
From
how the car operates.
I mean,
we're operating it wrong. We're putting the wrong oil and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not an intelligent design. If I was creating some sort of species that I wanted to worship, why would I have them worry about calories and have them just focus on worshiping that? And so that's my bigger priority, right? Is just I want to be worshipped. So like, why create a system where people have bad consequences? Why even create food to begin with? Like why not just create things that are conscious or have different sources of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not all the system. People like constantly. I'm sorry if I'm going on a different train of thought, but like the way that you were talking, I always see my parents is always talking about, oh, look how amazing,
Well,
it is amazing, but
yeah.
it's flawed from their perspective. If I start plugging God into it, then I just see I see more flaws than the actual intelligent design. If you will.
and if it was intelligent design anyway, why would it take billions of years to get to this point and so much trial and error? It's not like we were made once and we were perfect.
Yeah.
Even monkeys can write out Shakespeare if you give them enough time.
Yeah.
So is that God? You just kept going. It was a monkey, and then now we're here. Somehow
God's
created
monkey.
us.
Yeah.
Here we are. Huh?
Well, the best thing that I liked about that lecture, or I think it's part of that talk, is that I'm not a big fan of that last argument for intelligent design because I feel like it's just saying that it's not perfect. But the one part that I did like is like he's like, you can't look at a religious book and find new stuff.
Yeah.
Only science can find new stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Because the religion already
it
has all
stops.
the answers.
Let's say you believe in whatever religious text,
Yeah.
and you believe the science of that religious book. Let's say we all assume that's true,
Yeah.
but there's nothing new. You're not going to go to it for a new discovery.
Yeah.
Each book claims to have all the answers, so
But there's nothing new, actually.
No, absolutely.
So
to your point, like if someone reads it, they're not going to discover quantum mechanics out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say that they actually discover the atom in whatever religious book, right? It describes it. We can all agree. It's not going to tell you how the electron orbits the atom.
Yeah.
What the
What the structure
probability
is,
is.
yeah.
What are valence like electrons? You have to build that.
It won't. Yeah, it won't tell you the standard model.
Yeah.
It won't tell you the laws of nature. It won't tell you about gravity and how it works.
But give it enough time and read it enough time, they will tell you that it's all bullshit.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Sorry guys, this is where the podcast ends. We had some technical issues because of which we had to cut the podcast short. Anyway, we are going to be taking a short break. Nothing major. We'll be back in just a few short weeks. But you will see that our podcast and our YouTube content probably won't be updated as it has been in the past. But we'll be back very shortly. And I just want to thank everyone that's been following the podcast, listening, giving feedback, following us on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And we will see you back very shortly. Thanks.